Very green.
Holy moly.
Great job! Yeah! This guy.
Thank you. Wow!
Hell yeah. Woo-hoo! Great job, man!
Now we got a crash. Cars spinning left and right.
Buddy, let her rip. Rain like hell, baby! Come on! Oh my god, guys! Yes! Yes! Unbelievable! You guys are the best! Yes, 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 yes! Oh, what a year!
We're live. We are live. You're still muted. You're still muted. You're still muted. Now you're not.
Oh, hey.
Now we're live. Okay.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. We are officially at the mark where we have more podcasts than Richard Petty has wins. So we've done something.
Ooh, we haven't passed Kyle Busch yet, though. We have to pass Kyle Busch now.
We've done something.
At this rate, we'll get him before long.
There you go.
Well, someone else that has done something is Kyle Larson. And I think let's just jump right on into this. We'll talk about a bunch of other stuff later. Let's jump right on into the man who did something in turn one at Watkins Glen. Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott have been the focal point pretty much of the entire season when you talk about guys who are doing well this year. They're currently, I believe, the first two in points. Even though Kyle Larson is having a bad year, he still has 2 wins, tons of top 10s and top 5s, been very fast. And then Chase Elliott's been the class of the field. And on Sunday, those two worlds collided. So, Darian, let's start with you. Kind of in just 1 minute, just initial thoughts of the Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott deal on the final restart.
Well, it's pretty obvious there's some tension. The video Jeff Gluck snapped after the race of him, of Chase Elliott talking to Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick after the race. He was clearly just fed up, but he's a team player. He knows that, Hendrick Motorsports, they do things a certain way. And one of those things is not putting drama out there, usually for the most part. So it's probably being handled in-house as we speak. For the most part, I think this is a nothing burger. But I would say, I don't know, I don't think it's gonna basically escalate to anything further, if that makes sense, when I say it's a nothing burger. So, I mean, obviously they're still gonna race each other extremely hard on the racetrack from time to time, but they're all about team first at Hendrick Motorsports. So I think it's nothing.
Danny, what do you think on this? Do you think that it was something that was, kind of intentional, avoidable? What do you think?
I don't think it was intentional. Was it avoidable? Maybe, but I mean, they're just going for the win. I had a tweet that went a little more successful than I thought it would be when I made a joke that Rick Hendrick thought he was done with this stuff when Jimmy and Jeff quit racing, but it really does remind me of the little spats that we would see here and there between Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon back in the day. You'd see, what was it? I think the quote in 2010 was,
4 times a little upset.
4 times a little upset. Takes a lot to make me mad, and 48's testing my patience.
Mm-hmm. Eric, what do you think? Like, is this something that's going to kind of go week to week, or at least to Bristol this week? I mean, Daytona. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to result in anything crazy on track. I don't think it's going to escalate too much further, but like I think Darian said, they're not going to give an inch, and certainly Chase Elliott's not going to give Larson an inch at all this year. He's going to do everything short of run through him any chance he gets, if it's for a win or for a key position late. That's the way I see it. As for the incident itself, I think it was both avoidable and on purpose. to Danny's point, Kyle Larson made the conscious decision to drive in deeper than he typically would to make the corner usually. He made the conscious decision to just slightly rub Elliott up out of the preferred lane, and he took it. It was for a win. He said that, hey, Elliott chose the outside lane. He opened himself up to that kind of attack. It's just a difference in philosophies. I think Chase Elliott thought he could trust his teammate to keep control of his vehicle instead of locking the right front up, and I think Larson thought, oh, my teammate knows that I got to go for a win. He's got 4. I only got 1. I need the playoff points more than he does. He's the regular season champ. So just a miscommunication, 2 different racing philosophies. Sounds like the two met, during the competition meetings this week. I heard Kyle Larson say he did a lot more listening than talking, which I think says all you need to know. I think they're relatively on the same page, but Chase Elliott feels like he's been slighted twice this year by Kyle Larson racing for a win. And he's not going to go plow through Larson at Bristol in a few weeks or at any point in the playoffs, I don't think, but he's going to race him hard. And if they're side by side on a restart in the playoffs, Elliott's going to drive through Kyle Larson the way Larson drove up into him.
Our generation had Michael Waltrip's I'm at the wrong track thing for Napa, and now this generation does for Chase Elliott and Napa.
Did you see his interview with, I think, Bob, where he just started like today? It was today. He was like laughing about like I just kept forgetting. I thought we were going to Bristol. Like I was like he wants to pay him back really fast then, but no,
he
you
thought
gotta
it was
wait. I took it as like a double meaning. Like maybe he was already saying trying to say that I'm going to wreck him at Bristol.
Yeah, that's
a payback track.
That's kind of where I was going. Yeah.
According to his interviews today, he literally just probably in a moment of rage forgot what track they were going to. I've been there. I've had that kind of like consistent brain fart for like an hour straight. Like it happens, I suppose.
I've had entire shows where I'm like that.
Bristol, they did a good job of tying into the meme and was put out the video of the Michael Waltrip I'm at the wrong track with Chase Elliott's face on it.
Yeah.
I know NASCAR Chasm, he put up something where it was like that clip of it was like, okay, people, come on, go, let's go.
If Napa was smart, they would put out a funny ad for this weekend's race. They would put out some like funny ad related to
Need
that.
some quick turnaround.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
quick. Yeah, quick.
Well, maybe do it for the Bristol race. You got time now.
Yeah, sure.
The banking's the same. He got that part right.
I will say, true. And hey, Bristol used to be this weekend in the past. I will say, before I get into the racing aspect of it, Chase Elliott did handle it pretty well. Like, you could tell he was mad. You could tell that was definitely sarcasm about congratulating him. But he handled it really well.
Yeah.
As for on the track, I hate saying this because it always feels like a cop-out. I always feel like I'm just like a fence sitter on it. But I'm going to go 50-50 on him. One, it was going for the win, and I'm happy that Elliott wasn't wrecked out of a win. Like, that would have felt dirty. That would have felt just wrong, horrible taste in your mouth.
It still sucks because Chase Elliott, he didn't even finish. Did he finish in the top five?
He finished fourth.
Yeah, fourth.
Oh, fourth. Okay. All right.
He actually moved Tyler Reddick out of the way with like 2 to go. He nailed him.
Now that part I didn't agree with. I didn't think there was any reason to take your anger out on someone who didn't do anything to you.
But was that a mistake or was that?
No, he was totally raping him.
He was mad.
He was like, I'm getting up there as quick as I can.
So
poor Tyler.
I say it's 50-50 by saying that I think 50% is on Kyle Larson for getting in too fast. He got a great restart. AJ Allmendinger bumped him up to actually about a nose ahead of Elliott. Where I blame Elliott is that when you're on the high side in one of those last couple restarts, like you're gonna get hit.
See, I get the philosophy behind it though, because if you're on the high side, you'll get a better run off the corner. But I mean, it's the final laps though, so anything goes.
But I think where I go from it is even if you're like in his position, where I think he wasn't thinking that his teammate was gonna hit him into the corner, you got to think that somebody's going to take it 3 wide or somebody's going to hit someone. There might be that accordion effect too. It happens at every road course. But I will give him the benefit of the doubt in thinking that I believe it was Indianapolis. He was on the inside lane into one and got taken out, wasn't it?
That's true. I think so. I think he was
He
by
said,
a 3 wide move, or maybe a 5 wide move, whoever it was.
It was just a giant accordion. So I mean,
yeah.
When I say that it's like percent their fault, I don't exactly mean that it's like, it's egregiously their fault. Like it was. Again, I hate saying this because it makes me feel like offensive, or it was a racing deal. And where I'm happy with it is that Elliott didn't get crashed out. He got moved. You can say it was borderline fair or whatever, but you can have the debate on it. It wasn't like Larson just flat out took him out. And that's where I was happy with it. Now, I asked the chat whose side they were on just because I wanted to stir the pot here. And 62% of the 205 votes were for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
I'm surprised.
It is kind of surprised because he's going up against NASCAR's most popular driver.
Yeah, I think I mean, like, look, I get Chase Elliott fans. Some of them can be a bit out there sometimes, but I think for the most part, if you poll most NASCAR fans and stuff, they'll agree as well. It's like, look, that was a racing deal there.
Now, outside of the Hendrick duo, which, by the way, lick that like button. We got like 100 likes right now, like over 400 watching. Lick that like button. But another big storyline, before we get into the Kimi Räikkönen story, because that was pretty big too, but I had to talk about this one. McDowell supremacy was afoot at Watkins Glen.
I'm surprised you didn't lead the show with this one.
Hey, more like front row motorsport supremacy was on afoot. I
For a
tried the
Until
whole
someone tweeted.
I tried the whole Gilliland supremacy thing, and then 5 minutes later, it was just kaboom, broken axle and stuff, and that sucks because Todd Gilliland, he was putting some distance on the field there for a moment, man. So
Well, he was, McDowell
at the
was.
time.
It felt like a tale of two races, where in the first half when the track was wet, or at least somewhat wet, the front row guys were just head and shoulders above the rest of the field. Like, they had it figured out, which is not surprising. But then when it got dry and it went back to kind of more normal conditions that they're more attuned to, the Hendrick guys really ran away with it. But I want to say, like, I don't know how much we can really look into how McDowell ran, but it was really cool seeing him not at a super speedway actually be a viable contender for the win. And I want to say this too. This is his 10th top 10 of the season. Double-digit top 10s for my boy. With
For the
11.
first time in his Cup Series career, right?
He's shattering his career records with
Wow.
this season. And if I'm not mistaken, not to put anyone on blast, this sounds like I'm just attacking the poor guy, but I think he's now doubled William Byron in top 10s this year. If I'm not mistaken.
He's doubled William Byron. He's doubled Austin Dillon. He's doubled Stenhouse.
What a year for Michael McDowell. Goodness gracious. Yeah, when he said, like last year, around this time last year, when he didn't have a deal yet in place, I remember Front Row was considering maybe selling the team. McDowell said, man, I hope they bring me back because these new cars, it suits my driving style. Yeah. He wasn't wrong. Dude, he called his shot and he's hitting it so far. So you got to give him respect.
Yeah, I got to admit, as much as I may or may not pick him tonight, I'm not going to give that away. But I think if he made the playoffs, if he made the playoffs, I think he could realistically get to the round of 12. And I think realistically, with 2 super speedways left, a road course at the Roval, a few short tracks, and some intermediates he ran well at earlier, like, he could realistically get 16 top 10s this year, which is pretty good.
Nobody silenced Jared. And this is how Michael McDowell could win a championship.
You should do a parody video of some time of that. Why Michael McDowell?
It wouldn't be. It's real to Jared. It's not a parody.
if he makes it in, I will try it. If he makes it in this week, but someone needs to make that meme where the dude's in front of all the conspiracy theory papers and he's like that. Yeah. Somebody needs to make that meme with me and about Michael McDowell because it fits at this point. Like of him winning it.
I'm gonna give it 15 minutes. It'll be on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll see it on Twitter after the show probably.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out when we get into like another conversation in the second half of the show. But I alluded to it earlier, or to this driver earlier. Kimi Räikkönen. He was actually impressive. I remember we tried to kind of guess where he'd run, and I had said like if he's top 20, I'll be happy, just because he's jumping into a new car with all these different guys that are really good. But I believe he peaked at like 8th or 9th at one point, I want to say. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Eric, I want you to start us off with this one. When it comes to the way that Kimi Räikkönen ran, what do you think, like, the ripple effect for, like, Project 91 as well as other drivers coming into the sport from other series, like, could be from this?
I mean, we knew when Trackhouse started this year off and was clearly very competitive, it caught everyone a little bit by surprise. But when they announced Project 91, we all saw that as like, that's a legit ride. That's not a backmarker team where it's just a field filler just there to take some photos and go home. No, that's a car that in the right situation could allow a driver to compete in and around the top 10 outside of a super speedway. So Kimi Räikkönen, obviously a world-class race car driver, impressed at that test a couple weeks ago. He didn't qualify great, qualified like 27th, but immediately started moving forward on the rain tires. Then even when they went to slicks, somewhat thanks to some strategy, he was racing up in the top 10 around guys like Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse, like legitimate drivers. And I don't know, what I think it did is it opened everyone else's eyes to this NASCAR possibility. With the 4-car rule in the charter system, Hendrick Motorsports can't field a car. Joe Gibbs Racing can't field a car. Stuart Haas can't field an extra car. So someone like Trackhouse, who has the inventory and has the slot available, stands out. We've already seen all the drivers on Twitter. Marcus Ericsson, one of the first that comes to mind, who is sort of publicly lobbying for maybe an opportunity in this seat. I saw a report, I think was it from Adam Stern today? I don't remember who said it, that said 20 drivers have reached out in the last few days about racing that car next year. So if he sells sponsorship, it's a great investment. Justin Marks makes money. NASCAR gets outside attention, and we might see another surprise winner one day. Like I think everybody wins, which is why Justin Marks and Trackhouse deserve a ton of credit, and Kimi Räikkönen for making that car look good until just a restart wreck he couldn't avoid.
It looked like he was having a lot of fun this weekend. That was that's what I saw. Like usually you don't see Kimi Räikkönen smile too often, but I think I saw him smile like a bunch of times over the weekend and stuff too. So that was cool to see. But yeah, I mean, when he was battling with Chase Elliott there too, I mean, he was really battling with him there, man. Like Chase Elliott was like moving him, bumping him out the way.
Threw a little block down between 5 and 6.
Yeah. He wanted to let him know he was there and stuff. And hey, I mean, unfortunately, didn't finish the race. But, I mean, for the most part, I mean, looking at the bigger picture, though, like you just said, Adam Stern reporting, over 22 inquiries, about, like, hey, when can I get in this ride and stuff, too. Mm-hmm. So, hey, the possibilities are endless, too. And then especially when you consider the fact that this was the race where we had, the most foreign drivers
6
in one race.
International drivers.
It was a record, seven total countries.
And that also does include Daniel Suarez, but we don't really count. I mean, he's already been in NASCAR and stuff. But I mean, hey, look, from all these guys are coming from all walks of racing and stuff. So,
now one of the big names out there since he's no longer in his F1 ride is Daniel Ricciardo. He could possibly even make an attempt now.
Yeah, what I want to say is I think a few weeks ago, whenever we talked about Lewis Hamilton, he could be a candidate. I was sitting here thinking let's pump the brakes. I don't know. After the attention Räikkönen got this weekend, the performance he put forward, I think anyone's on the table. I think Lewis Hamilton. I think just about any driver is eyeing that. I think Daniel Ricciardo next year is a legitimate candidate. I just think it's possible. I think anything's possible after this. It's just one start for sure. We need to see a few more maybe to attract the biggest fish, but I'm gonna say this is on his radar. It's somewhat of his caliber,
I see where you're coming from and stuff, but I don't know, just knowing how strict these F1 teams are with certain things.
It may not be next year. It may be a few years down the line.
Yeah,
Lewis Hamilton's 37 years old. He can't have more than a few years of full time effort. He threatened retirement a few months ago. You just never know.
I don't follow F1 diehard per se, but even I noticed that was one of the big things stories that was going around the racing community was that Lewis Hamilton was wanting to or was considering retirement soon. And a lot of people, I was surprised how many people actually brought up NASCAR because he had said he wanted to have fun in racing again. Because I think the quote that I saw is he wasn't having fun anymore.
Not after the championship last year.
No. But I mean, that's been the baseline has been fun from all of these guys coming in. And with all these international guys coming in, all these people coming into a road course, Danny, I want to pose a question to you. Again, it's only been one race with all of these different drivers, but it was pretty impactful. And there were a lot of people I noticed from all over the motorsports community in the world who had their eyes on this race. Do you think this is kind of, I would say, instrumental in bringing back the road course ringer?
Definitely. It is. We'll see a lot more of these ringers come in, and this is a car that's definitely built for good road course racing. But the problem is, I don't think that we'll see the road course ringers come in and dominate, win like they used to. I mean, you could go to Sonoma, Watkins Glen, and you'd see guys you never hear running up there. You'd see Boris Said in contention. You'd see Robbie Gordon in contention. I mean, Robbie was in contention in some races, but there towards the latter part of his career, you'd only see him contending at the road courses. Marcus Ambrose, okay on other races, great on road courses. Juan Pablo Montoya, et cetera, et cetera. Now I think there's honestly a great crop of talent that are just so good at road course racing that's already on the full-time NASCAR schedule that I don't think you'd see that level of road course ringers coming in and stealing wins away from people. Maybe Allmendinger probably here and there, but I don't think it's going to be like it used to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not going to be what it used to be. I will counter this weekend just Joey Hand in the 15 car running legitimate top 5, top 10. Danny's right. We haven't really seen ringers the last few years come in and do very well, but that was the first time I'd seen in a while where I was like, that guy should not be running there, but here he is.
Only reason I've been saying all year, I picked Joey Hand as my road course underdog at every race except for this one because of Kimmy. That was the only reason I didn't pick Joey Hand. Joey Hand is legitimately a good road course racer.
Yeah.
If he's doing that in Rick Ware equipment.
Didn't Joey Hand at one point take like Elliott and McDowell 3 wide and briefly have the lead out of one?
He did, yes.
He off of speed and talent brought a Rick Ware racing car to the lead in NASCAR.
In a crucial race right before the end of the regular season. Like, that's insane.
Somebody get a picture of that and put it on the walls of Rick Ware Racing and caption it, "The day we took the lead."
Yeah, frame that picture for sure. But the road course ringer, I mean, like, you gotta, if you go back to the 90s and the early 2000s, that's when like they were, you know, really competitive, because we only ran like 2 or 3 road courses a year basically during that era. And now we run a bunch of them and stuff. And, you know, with all the simulator time, you know, the young guys and, you know, the current NASCAR drivers today, even the veterans, they've adapted to road courses now. So like now, I mean, these guys come in and they're not as competitive, but like from what we saw this weekend, because whoever was driving that Herzog 27, they brought that car. Yeah, he brought that car in the top 20, and that was another case of, hey, he should not be running there, but he is. He's pushing that sucker. But yeah, hey, look, I don't think the road course ringer is like fully back in terms of like, you know, competitiveness, but like, as far as the fun element is concerned with, you know, doing a few select races, I mean, I won't be surprised if we see like way more too, maybe even to the point where we might have to have a bump day for like a Watkins Glen or something, because there's so many entries. Hey, I don't know, one could dream, but yeah, maybe it's coming back a bit, the old road course ringers.
Well, I posed the question to the chat because I wanted to see what they thought, and almost 200 voted, and they 87% say that they want to go back. They want Kimi Räikkönen to come back to NASCAR.
What happened to the other 13%? They're hating. How do you hate on Kimi, man? Yeah.
He did. Honestly, I think it's because of the way that Jarrett accidentally wrote that question, because he said, "Do you want to see Räikkönen's back?" Like it was like talking about his back.
Typos.
Yes, I do. As in his back bumper off of the second place driver's car, because I want to see Kimi Räikkönen come back, because I think that he, with the experience he has now, could be a lot more competitive next time. And so kind of moving on a little bit from that, another way that this race was different is that it sort of started, then didn't start on the pace laps, and then started after the fact with a wet track, but it was raining a lot. And Eric, I saw you talk about this in depth on Twitter and in your video, and I want to start with you. I want to see what you and Darian think. I want to see if the opinions match on this one. Do you think NASCAR handled the rain race well? Because you two differed and then got the same on Twitter with your opinions of this.
No, I think they did. Like it was a little disappointing that we didn't get more racing in wet conditions, but it was clear when they, you know, when the lightning hold lifted, which obviously that they have to do it the way they did it. It's frustrating, but the 30-minute pauses, give them that they had to do
for safety.
Yeah. But once the lightning lifted and they started to run some pace laps, you could just see there was thick, dense puddles, maybe not in the groove all the way around, but on the racing surface. It was still significantly rainy. I remember being at COTA last year in person when it rained. You guys were there as well. And I don't remember, we were sitting complete opposite ends of the track, but where I was sitting, it never rained heavily during the day.
Lucky.
It was just a steady drizzle, basically from green to almost to the end of the race. What it looked like on TV to me was more than a steady drizzle. That looked like heavier rain than I saw at any point at Circuit of the Americas. Maybe it's TV working its magic, misleading me. But as frustrating as it was, I think NASCAR made the right call, extending the red flag until they could dry some of the, you know, faster sections of the track, get some of the standing water off. I just think they did. I think you had a lot of eyes on this race. It's the second to last race of the regular season, a very important race. And you'd already been delayed an hour or whatever by lightning. What's an extra 30 or 40 minutes? I think they did it right. Would I have liked to see them race in wet, not raining, but wet conditions a little longer? Sure, because I wanted to see McDowell lead a few more laps, Todd Gilliland lead a few more laps. But I think they handled it. I think they handled it pretty much perfectly from an officiating standpoint. I'm glad they didn't get impatient and try to send them out there before the track was legitimately ready to go.
So yeah, look, I'm all for wet weather racing. We've seen it in F1. It's awesome. And then, hey, you know, when the lower NASCAR series have done it too, it's been amazing as well. But, I want wet weather racing, but I, don't want them in unsafe conditions, if that makes sense. And I know some have said, well, isn't racing in the wet unsafe? Like, yes, well, racing in general is technically unsafe. I get that. But I felt like there was an added risk to it because, even in the pace laps, it was a bit reminiscent of Spa 2021 last year, and remember we were like laughing during that race and stuff because they only ran like 2 or 3 pace laps and hey, they just couldn't see, now in this case, conditions obviously, were affecting the visibility and stuff, but I don't know. I think that has more to do with, most of the field not being used to to running in wet conditions like that and stuff, like this is like a lot of their first times and stuff too. So I don't know, I feel like there needs to be more testing or whatever if they want to correct that issue. But at the same time though, if the drivers are complaining that they can't see, look, me and Jared, and you too, Eric, we were at COTA 2021, and the rain kept slapping us and stuff too, and like how many incidents were there where visibility was an issue, and Bubba Wallace runs into the back of Kevin Harvick, and then Cole Custer runs into the back of Martin Truex Jr. So I'm all for wet weather racing as long as it's a bit tamed. And F1, they have certain standards, and I think NASCAR is going to learn to add those certain standards too, as we saw this weekend. They're like, hey, look, we don't want to risk it. Let's like. They did end up racing in wet conditions for a little bit. I want to say for like maybe a good 10, 15 minutes. Once
it was
maybe a little longer.
Most of the first stage,
okay.
They had at least some wet on the track for the entirety of it.
So that's what I was talking about basically. I'm like, okay, I want to see this wet weather racing. I don't want to see a bunch of chaos and drivers putting themselves at more risk than they already should be.
Yeah, Danny, do you think maybe in the future NASCAR could maybe make some clear-cut, grounded rules on what the wet weather protocols are? That way fans at home, because I know until they started showing around the track more and showing those puddles, there was a debate back and forth on it. Do you think maybe NASCAR being clear-cut and being there is only to a certain point we'll do this would work better to get everyone on board? Or do you think basically what they have now is the way to go about it?
I think the conditions that they started the race in, I think that was actually not too terrible. What they was going to try to do, maybe it was too much spray, not good. I think, they probably do need to establish something because what we saw at Circuit of the Americas, what we saw at that Charlotte Roval Xfinity race, that was honestly way too much. And I'm okay with wet racing, but don't need to be racing in a monsoon either.
Yeah,
that's just not a good show.
There is such thing as a tamed wet race. We've seen it in F1 so many times and in other series too. But again, I want to see them race in the wet weather conditions. But if they can't see, then what's the point? And we're not even going to see them racing. We're just going to see them crashing at that point.
Definitely handled this better than they handled New Hampshire last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, no tinted windows this time. Yeah,
that's what I just like to see. We criticize them for COTA. We criticize them for New Hampshire. We criticize them for that Xfinity Roval race, and so they listen. They adjusted their policy. They waited an extra 30 minutes. Could it have been 20? Yeah, maybe. But we're nipping. Just
they got the whole race in.
Details. They got the whole race in. Now that's a different conversation. They keep starting these races after 3 p.m. Eastern time in the summer, on the east and southern coast. It's that's another conversation. They maybe bump those start times up an hour or two next year. It would be nice. But as we'll look at the rate. As we'll look at the ratings in a second, I know you love your ratings, Jarrett. That might be a losing argument on my end, and on everyone who's arguing noon in the chat. I'm sorry, you guys might be losing. We might be losing this argument at this point.
Okay, I'll put this out because the chat's talked about it a lot in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Which, by the way, the chat overwhelmingly was for it. 82% of the votes said that they were for how NASCAR handled the wet weather protocols. But I think we can probably talk a little bit about that. I don't think noon would have helped here. All noon would have done is just make it so that the last 20 laps would have to be postponed 2 hours. That's basically what would have happened here. I'm not saying noon is a fix-all, but I will say, in saying that, I do think that these tracks that don't have lights in the middle of summer, when it statistically is shown to rain more in the late afternoon, I think that they would do better. Basically from Dover to Watkins Glen, if a track doesn't have lights, and it's in the middle of summer, like I think, or spring, I think the protocol might be to start them a little bit earlier to try and get the most racing in on the start time. But I mean, we'll talk about it in a bit, and we've seen a lot of it so far this year, is that the later start times have helped people watch it across the country more compared to years past.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to know. I mean, there probably is. We can look at the numbers on the West Coast viewers, but it could just be a general increased interest in NASCAR this year, of which I think there is. That is somewhat the case, but I think you can't ignore the start time. NASCAR and the networks moved them to later start times for this very reason, and as long as ratings continue to go up week after week, we'll talk about in a minute. This is like the 7th or 8th straight week of an increase. Mm-hmm. They must know what they're doing, and I don't know. I'm not going to argue it too much, but the attendance, I know you're about to talk about this, Jared. The attendance was pretty great. That's another trend we've seen this year, which has been really positive.
Yeah, another sellout, which I want to preface this. Like a sellout at Watkins Glen with all the camping grandstands. I believe it holds 37,000 in the grandstands, which those looked pretty full in this race. But along with the camping, standing room, all that, is over 100,000. Which I remember, I'm surprised NBC didn't talk about that this year, because I remember back in like the early days of this contract with NBC and ESPN, they always bragged about the Watkins Glen crowd being, between 90 and 110,000. But I wanted to bring this up very quickly because based on the estimates for some of these races that I found, Daytona for the 500, the Coke 600, Road America, Pocono, and Watkins Glen, I saw at or near estimates of 100,000 this year, and I was interested to see, like, attendance-wise how that compared. It's the most races so far in a season, and again, we still have 11 races left. We still have a Daytona race, a Talladega race. We still have a lot of racing left, but it's the most races in a season since 2015 to have over 100,000 at a race, which is pretty impressive nowadays.
Yeah.
That's absolutely good.
I figure
go back to 2015. Wow.
I mean, that was a completely different era for NASCAR.
Jeff Gordon was still racing.
Jeff Gordon,
Dale
Tony
Jr. was
Stewart,
still
Dale
racing.
Jr.,
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson. I mean, so it feels like NASCAR's found that, like, a bit of a formula when it comes to getting people at the track and now on TV that's starting to work with it. But I wanted to bring that up just because, we can always complain about it, but there needs to be some positive brought up about it. And then the last one, we'll just kind of note this here. Chase Elliott did what we all knew he was going to do. He locked up the regular season championship.
Well, hang on. I don't want to just note it. So this is what I've been pushing for. We need to make a bigger deal of the winning Chase Elliott winning the regular season, of whoever winning the regular season.
Do we though?
But I think it's obviously worth the most playoff points. He's going to get 5 more than anybody else based on points at the very least. He gets a nice little trophy about it. I think it does speak to it's the kind of stat we need a column for on Racing Reference or NASCAR.com. We need a stat column that says how many regular season championships a driver has won, because for all the fans out there that still love the full season consistent year-long points format, this should be a big deal. It should be something that obviously is getting rewarded by some extra playoff points, but even beyond that, I think it should be made a big deal of on the stat sheet. Regular season championship, like it's the kind of thing where if this was an NBA team, they'd hang a banner for it, or a baseball team. It'd be like the equivalent of like a division title,
At the same time, though, they don't throw a Super Bowl parade for the Titans being the number 1 team of the AFC last year. They're not going to bring Chase Elliott to Nashville and parade them for winning this. So.
I'll at least counter with this: in baseball, you get a ring if you win the AL or National League pennant. If you win the league championship series, you get a ring. You celebrate with the beer in the clubhouse like you won the World Series. So it varies culturally. It varies from sport to sport, which is why I say culturally, as NASCAR fans, I think we should put more emphasis on who wins the regular season championship.
I'll push back on that, and not for the reason that most fans give, but if the broadcast actually cared more year over year instead of treating it as a joke.
Yeah.
I was about to say.
We'll criticize Fox for how they treat the sport as a joke, and yes, NBC's been better this year, but NBC treats it like it's just a footnote as well. And so if the people presenting it to us don't treat it like it matters, why should fans really, other than Chase Elliott fans, care too much about it?
No, I agree.
But Eric, that was a fair point earlier. What you said earlier, you had just said. Basically, if you are all for consistent points, you should like this. I'm like, okay, all right, that's fair enough. I mean, I would like it more, If they didn't reset it, of course.
Sure, no, I understand it's not as significant as whoever wins the actual championship at Phoenix in 11 weeks, but I just feel like it should be, like, it's the kind of thing that I don't know if he does, but if he doesn't, he should get a message or even a chance to give a speech at the banquet at the end of the year. Like it should be a little more noteworthy than it is, in my opinion.
Well, NASCAR should, do more, more promotion. Like, hey, this is our regular season.
Like, I just think it's a
title.
big deal. Like, again, I always compare things to stickball sports, but like in baseball, so I'm wearing an Astros hat. We won the American League Championship last year, lost in the World Series. They've been doing all year long at games, giving away AL Championship replica rings to fans, and like they put up the big banner. We won the American League Championship in the stadium. Yeah. And it's like next year or whenever they should sell merch for it. I don't know. Culturally, it should be made a bigger deal of, and I agree, Jarrett. The broadcast should be at the forefront of that, and they haven't been. So.
And I'll support what you say here. Like, for instance, and this is gonna sound sad to most fan bases, but in 2009, I was like 11, and I chose to get a Vikings NFC North Division title shirt. Shut up, Darian. Your team was ass before last year. Tell me about them ending the Patriots dynasty while you're at it. Anyway, that's what Darian said. But I'll say this: yeah, that's nice. But anyway, what I'm saying, never. After I die, that's when I'll get a ring.
Oh no! Go ahead.
But what I'll say is, if other sports treat those things and sell merch for it, and I think it's a team decision for a lot of those.
Sure.
But it's up to the people that are in charge of this stuff, whether it's the teams, whether it's the network, whether it's NASCAR itself, to make a bigger deal about it. Like, behind me right now, I have an Austin Cindric Daytona 500 champion little laminated, like, mini poster behind me.
That's cool.
The Daytona 500 is a really big deal. And, yes, that one race is huge, prestigious, and all that, but if you want to talk about the whole season overall, the regular season championship, as some people have pointed out in our chat, damn near gives Chase Elliott a free pass to Phoenix. Not necessarily for sure, but in a lot of ways.
I'll put him into the round of 8, but yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there's a very good chance, and I would bet money on it, that Chase Elliott could make the Final Four pretty easily compared to other drivers.
Sure. Like somewhere Kevin Harvick's in here really thinking about this.
Yeah, but if again, the people in power in the sport have to actually make it a big deal for fans to care about it. I mean, same with making the Final Four. That's nice and all, but after that race at Phoenix, does anyone really remember the other drivers in the Final Four except for the fans of those drivers? Like, does anyone remember? Okay, I'll ask this right now. Does anybody in the chat who's not a fan of this driver remember who finished second to Chase Elliott or finished second to Kyle Larson the last 2 years?
Darian.
Let me think really quick.
I remember, but that's just because I remember stupid things.
So 2020 Denny Hamlin, right?
No,
I'm wrong.
it's Joey Logano.
Oh, see, there you go.
Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski, I believe, finished ahead of Denny Hamlin that year.
Okay,
Hamlin was last in that group last year. I was. Is the chat's not guess? I think we're ahead of the chat by a while.
Yeah, but
okay, now they're all getting. Now a lot of them are getting it.
My point, or was Keselowski or Logano? They're going back and forth between Keselowski and Logano.
But yeah, basically, you made your point. I don't even remember that.
But I do think, and Eric, you've made this point before, that you could make the Final Four have a bigger deal. You talked about a stat line for regular season championships. Why not a stat line for Final Fours?
Yeah, you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
I keep a photo on my desktop just to refer back to. I referred to it in today's episode that shows every driver's the number of who leads number of championship four appearances, because I love to refer to that stat, because if you look in the last 8 years, it's Harvick, Truex, Kyle Busch, Logano, Hamlin. If you ask me, those are the most dominant drivers of the last 8 years. So I think it speaks to full season dominance better than a lot of other stats do.
So if NASCAR is going to go all in like they have for about the last decade with a format that is this or like this with the 3 years before it, they might as well go all in and make it important in these statistical categories. Make it something that's brought up on broadcast. That's
racing reference. Well, put it on racing reference.
I'm not even saying racing reference. I'm saying when Fox is doing Daytona 500 graphics and you want to introduce as many new fans as possible to your drivers, bring those statistics up, not just the championship itself. We've talked about, yes, that we can debate back and forth the championship if it's diminished or not in relevance. Well, the Final Four has almost been more revered in the playoff era than the champion itself anymore. So make a big deal about it. And the same thing goes with what we talked about to start with the regular season championship.
I agree. Well said.
Yeah.
Speaking of the playoff cut line, okay, we talk about the playoff cut line after races. How about we just talk about it when we talk about Daytona? Because let's be honest,
Honestly,
we're
we
going to go
could,
on
yeah.
forever. So
Yeah.
we'll go past that. We'll talk about that towards the end of the show. Let's get into what we've been alluding to for the last 20 minutes with the ratings, if y'all are good with that.
Yeah, let's go.
We got a lot because, again, I'm an over-analytical dumbass for this kind of stuff.
If you guys can't see it at home, but Jarrett wrote like a block in our notes of just like every number relative to last year. Like, go for it, Jarrett. I can't wait.
He
to
ended up
decide
triple
this.
checking everything.
I'm
too.
like,
Yes,
I'm looking
I
at an
actually-
Excel sheet right now. What's going on?
Actually, for like the last bit of the stuff I'll talk about, I triple checked the last 20 years of TV ratings to 100% make sure about this. And it's pretty cool. So the race got a 1.49 rating, basically a 1.5, up 19% from 2021, down from 2019, the last time this race was run, though I will add 2019 in the last like 5 years is the most watched year of NASCAR, so that's not bad at all. Adding in the streaming numbers, which NBC did, it had 2.619 million, up 20% from last year. And even if you compare to the same weekend in 2021, it's up 2% from Michigan, which we talked about a few weeks ago is one of the most watched summer races. So
And road
good
courses are
stuff.
typically not watched as much. So
Yes.
yeah, so that's
And-
also a notable trend.
And I'll bring this up. It's the highest watched road course on cable since 2017.
Ooh.
563,000 that watched were in the key demo. That's 21%, which is fifth of all sports events for the weekend. And when it comes to sporting events this weekend, it was the most watched sporting event of the weekend on cable. Only beat by 3 NFL games, and I believe like WWE, I think, if you count Friday in the weekend. I think that was on Fox, or at least that's what the report said.
SmackDown is on Big Fox.
Yes, so being beat by a WWE on Big Fox and NFL, which I don't care if it's preseason, beats all. Not bad to be the best of cable. Of the Xfinity race, we topped 1 million for that race. And all of this I want to add is just the American audience, not foreign audience added in. So
Yeah, you know the Cup race got a boost. I don't know how big, but
Yeah.
it got a little boost probably.
So I mean, overall, pretty positive stuff. But here's the big stat that I wanted to bring up. And I actually, hold on one second. I have a whiteboard that I can read off of
Oh
because
my
I
goodness.
didn't want to add everything into this. Hold on.
Oh, this what the little paragraph I'm staring at in my notes isn't even the full
That's
sheet.
just-
Not at
just
all.
the
There's
ice-
even
that's
more.
just- that's just the tip of the
This
iceberg.
man's a calculator.
So this is the 7th straight year-over-year increase in TV ratings, higher than last year's 6, and the longest streak of races in a row that were an increase in TV ratings in the last 20 years. The only two that are higher since 2002 are in 2005 and 2008, where it was 8 straight races, which, again, fingers crossed for
Go for
Daytona.
the tie.
Fingers
Woohoo.
crossed. In 2005, that was between the Brickyard 400 and the Dover Chase race. And in 2008, it was between the first Talladega race and Dale Jr.'s win at Michigan. Those were the only 2 times in the last 20 years we've seen this many races in a row have an increase of people watching. So it's a big deal, and like nobody's talking about it.
Well, NBC's trying to hype it up. They keep, they're put out their PR tweets and stuff every week. But no, it's, I guess it's, don't get too low, don't get too high. I feel like a lot of people for the last 5 years have been like, oh, the ratings are down, yes, but they'll come back, or that actually this or actually that. Like, I think it's just, I at least respect people not. It feels more honest. You know what I'm saying? If everyone in the NASCAR industry, remember like last year or the year before when it felt like everyone in the industry was like sent a memo to talk about how many campers were at Pocono, and it just
Yes.
felt super disingenuous.
So that was super forced.
If
yeah.
everyone was coming out of the woodworks, be like, look at how great the ratings are. It would feel like, oh, are they really that great though? It feels like they're really trying to sell me on something that isn't actually that great. But no, I think you are right. They could be hyping this up a little bit more, talking about the great crowds we've seen, because that's the big thing. A lot of races this year on TV have looked good. We've commended the SRX, especially last year, not maybe as much this year, but the full grandstands, maybe only 10,000 people there. But when they have a packed Nashville Fairgrounds with Chase and Bill Elliott racing, God dang, that looks great. That looks outstanding. And the energy is felt through the TV screen. So yeah, I hope they continue to promote this because, NASCAR for far too long has been stereotyped as a dying sport. And at least right now, it is certainly not. It's reinvented itself. It's had to overhaul some things, but it's very much doing its thing. And it's going to continue doing its thing, it seems like, for a long, long time.
Yeah, hey, shout out to the USA effect, man. Ever since we switched up these races, man, sky's been the limit, man.
It started off a bump in the road, but
yeah, got off to a bumpy start, but hey, we keep increasing each and every week.
That's what's crazy too, is there have been 9 races this year so far on USA/NBC. 4 of them have been severely impacted by weather, and that includes a couple of those 7 in a row we're riding right now. So the fact that even the weather has not deterred this kind of spur in viewership, that's huge. That's good. Yeah. USA, it reaches slightly more than NBCSN did in years past, but I don't think it's just the USA effect at this point. I think you have to just assume it's the great racing, it's the parity, and maybe there is just genuinely more interest in the playoffs this year, considering how wide open it seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's been shown in years past. I remember, looking back, 2004 and 2005 had great runs to the finish for the chase. That last regular season, stretch had a lot of people really interested in it. As I talked about before with 2005, that was part of the 8-race stretch there. In 2011, there was a big battle between 4 drivers on the cut line on top of those who could win. Really good racing that season, brought a lot of people into that race. We could see the same thing here with Daytona. I mean, the last year's race had almost 4 million viewers. So if this race runs without a hitch, that we might be looking at 4 million or more. Now, I feel like that I've brought this up. We're going to jinx it now, and it's not going to run on time and rain. But like I said before, that hasn't deterred fans much this year. It's felt very different this year, like the energy just around, not even on the broadcast or at the track, but just the energy even on social media has felt different this year.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you produce good racing. You got great storylines. It's been awesome.
Now, I don't know about you, Darian, but I think we got one more thing to kind of go over
this
weekend.
That's right. The pole! The famous Iceberg pole.
I think it's the first time in years my ears have shown up on the stream because I took those off. So we, speaking of people watching on TV, a lot of people coming in to watch and see NASCAR. A lot of people have been engaging online about it. We had almost 15,000 votes for this race on the poll. 48% said it was a great race. 37% said it was a good race, meaning 85% were positive about it. And then after that, another 11% said it was average, and then 2% apiece for below average and bad, so 4% net negative. The first comment, positive, negative, or meme, from Denny Delivers.
Meme.
He says, Ross Chastain indirectly caused his teammate and F1 world champ to crash today. Anyway, death, taxes, and the sky is very blue. So
it was actually pretty gray at Watkins Glen, so it didn't quite work there. But
it was blue at the finish.
It was blue by the end. Yeah. The sun was in Chastain's eyes. That's why there was a wreck.
I mean, it was sunny at that point. Maybe it threw him off.
Maybe so.
I'm just trying to think of my argument for the next time Jeff Burton gets mad at him. Looking at the comments here. First one on my end is from BMaster45. Said, I was having a blast watching this race. McDowell supremacy, a man of culture. Triple P Productions, of the Z at the end of it. The ideal scenario for maximum chaos. No point stock, no calculations. 1 spot left for 15 drivers. All of them have to win to be sure to be in after Daytona.
It's easy to sell. It's clean on the poster.
15 drivers, 1 spot.
15 enter, 14 will die.
get Josh Brolin in his Thanos voice for that one.
Oh my goodness!
It is inevitable. You will know what it's like to lose. You can. Someone's gonna make that edit too. Dwayne Prince says, always my favorite of the road course tracks on the schedule. I like that they've been, especially this year, really played into the fact that this is like the super speedway of road courses.
Yeah, they really differentiated it and described it well, I think, to the viewer.
Vincent Odom Never mind. Sorry, I didn't realize there was a book. I saw the first paragraph. Sorry, man, but thank you
Oh, my
for
goodness.
leaving that. CP Metis said, "Stellar race, man. McDowell is cursed on those restarts. Yes, he was not supreme on the restarts, but in
Yeah,
the
the
wet,
second
he
to
was.
last one. The second to last one was hard to watch, Jared.
Yeah,
I was
it was
crying
bad.
with you.
Kept
It was
falling
bad.
back and back, but still got a top 10 though.
Let's see. Thomas Franco says, got some new friends to watch this race all the way through. Tough run for the Iceman, though. Hope he comes back.
Oh, that's cool. It was getting his
Nice.
friends watching it with him too. See, when I used to invite people to watch NASCAR over, they used to just laugh in my face, like, we're not watching that.
Yeah, the
That
only
was fun.
time I could ever get somebody to watch NASCAR was like when the Xfinity Talladega race was on,
Hey,
and they saw
we're in-
Talladega.
We're in a new era now. I like that. That's cool.
I like how it's the Xfinity one for some reason that you got him to watch.
Well, because on Sundays I'd be at we always held Talladega parties and Daytona 500 parties, so I never was like actually away from the house for Talladega or Daytona. But for the Xfinity
Gotcha.
race, I was. And if I'm not mistaken, it was the one where the 01 car flipped on the backstretch back when they were tandem drafting. 2011.
2011.
That was
yeah.
Wallace, Mike Wallace. Is that who
Yeah.
that was?
Yes. 2011.
Let's go a bit further down. A lot of people are just saying great race. Dalton Ryder says Rick Allen cursed the final restart and the rest by bringing up that 2012 race. I'm assuming that person is a Kyle Busch fan. Kyle Busch fans have like PTSD to that, man.
Oh yeah, and Busch, he spun out too. That's right, in like nearly the identical spot this weekend as well.
Let's see what we got here. I'm making sure that I can read these final five, but yeah, we're actually pretty good. We can read them. All right, the five most downvoted comments here. First one is from Must Potato. I want to make sure. Yes, he has a Rainbow Warriors Jeff Gordon paint scheme for his thumbnail on it, or profile pic. So we should probably know where he aligns. He says, "We all gonna act like Larson didn't pull a chicken shit move on Elliott."
That's a hot take.
That's
Well,
racing,
actually, that's not,
bro.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a hot take, but it's strong words. Let's put it that way.
I mean, it's racing, man. Like Elliott didn't wreck; he still finished. Like, sorry, I mean, so it's the final laps. They're going for a win.
Hey, technically, AJ Allmendinger finished that race at Coda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost Killer, with a bunch of numbers in his name, said,
Love it.
"Boring Hendrick win. Not surprised NASCAR spoon feeds them wins when they can." All right.
Spoon feeding this.
Who reported it? Someone reported today, and I'm so bad. I don't remember who did it. I don't have all my notes in front of me, but who reported that RCR helped Hendrick with notes before Watkins Glen,
I don't
with setup notes? In my head, I'm like, why the frick? Why would they do that?
I don't
For
know.
one,
Man.
and two, no wonder Hendrick dominated because RCR has been the dominant Chevy team at road courses the last couple visits.
Maybe Richard Childress was just that pissed at Reddick that he had to have him
Yeah.
beat no matter
He
what.
he just accidentally sends out information.
He's like, I'm just gonna leak to my rivals. Just out of spite. I'm gonna see if I can find who's that tweet. You go
Okay.
on.
I'll go on the last three. Sonny F says, "I didn't think it was a very good race. Kind of boring."
Oh,
That's
okay.
honestly not that bad.
Yeah.
Tony Stewart fan, Richmond was better. And then the last one is from Blizzard 0812. "I now hate Larson with a big passion."
No.
All right, I found it actually. Sorry, it was a clip from Stacking Pennies that actually Zach Sterniolo tweeted, but it's from Corey LaJoy show where he says he heard Hendrick got some setup help from Richard Childress Racing heading into Watkins Glen. So it's coming from Corey LaJoy, who probably knows what he's talking about. But anyway, why? I don't understand. Why would RCR do that? I don't get it.
I don't know.
I'm just imagining that Richard Childress called in under anonymous name. Yeah, this is Rick C.
Yeah, is he trying to pull like some sort of team sabotage move here, like supposedly Teresa Earnhardt did in 07 with Junior? Just all the
It's that
motors
8 car,
start
man.
flying.
It's that 8 car. It's cursed.
Yeah, man.
But no, that's the poll. Thank you guys all for voting.
you.
And let's roll really quick into this Xfinity race. For the most part, it was William Byron and Ty Gibbs that pretty much dominated the day until they didn't.
Yeah, look, I'll speak on that incident first. Look, for the most part, I mean, if you take, sort of bias out of it and stuff, that was like a racing deal. They were both in the S's. Like, I felt like, like Byron, like, I mean, he gave as much room as he could, and then Gibbs probably should have compromised and gave up a little bit more room, or they should have just not gone in there at the same time, side by side together too. That would have saved a lot of time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it was, we were in the final lap. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a racing deal. Now, based on Ty Gibbs' history, is he going to get the benefit of the doubt? Like, yeah, some fans will. I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But, a lot of fans, they're like, oh, there he goes again, I don't think it was as big a deal, too, because Byron is not competing for the championship neither. So it's just like, oh, I just took out somebody who's, like, not even going to gain anything, other than, he's just going for the win, of course. But yeah, it's just a racing deal, and they seem to talk it out and stuff, and yeah, that's it.
Pretty animated. I haven't seen William Byron that animated in a while. He was more animated about this than when Logano punted him out of the lead at Darlington a few months back. So the way I look at it, and again, I'm going to try to take all bias out of it, I feel like people think I'm a big Ty Gibbs fan, and I am. I want to see Ty Gibbs do well. I think he means well. I think he's obviously really talented, but he has a bad habit. I call it a bad habit of driving in a little too deep, a little in over his head. That was a high risk, potentially high reward move, sending it into the bus stop. But at that point, going down the back straightaway, Byron had the preferred lane and had the slight lead. Like, he had the position more so than Gibbs did. He owned that spot more than Gibbs did. Gibbs is the one who made the conscious decision to throw it in there too wide. And he basically did what Ross Chastain did. And Chastain took Austin Dillon out, and Ty Gibbs took William Byron out. He's going for the win, but I hate how so many people, and I've said this on the show before, probably verbatim, but I hate how so many people just dismiss it as, oh, he's going for the win, so anything goes. Well, he didn't win, did he? So clearly he made a mistake. He wiped himself out too. So,
but if he made it through, he probably would have had the lead if he makes it through.
I don't think so, because Byron has the preferred lane going through the whatever they call it, the carousel.
I go off of the fact that I don't think he intended to get in there without making some contact with Byron.
Sorry, say that again.
I don't think that he intended to go in there with the intention of not making contact in some way with Byron. He was going to
he was planning to rub him.
He was planning to rub him, probably door him out of the way.
And at that point, to me, Byron has a right to be pissed, because I agree. I think Gibbs went in there knowing there's going to be some contact, and if you knowingly initiate contact and it results in a crash, like, you got one coming. Like, that's just the way it works.
No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that they didn't have one coming, but I will say is that I understand why he made the move. Like,
sure.
What does he have to lose at this point? Like,
that's fair.
If he goes for wins now, like, Byron's not going to be in any more of the races this season. He doesn't have to worry about William Byron until probably he's a rookie next year in Cup in the 18. I'm just rubbing that salt in the wound for those Busch fans right now. So go for it. It's like, you'll have to deal with it next year, yes, but going for that title now with your team, getting those bonus points ready for the playoffs, because that is going to be settled at Bristol. My deal is, like, I don't think it was as egregious as people make it out to be. I think that, if he gets in just a little less hot and just nudges him out of the way, bump and run style, he goes on and he wins that race. And we're talking about this the same way we're talking about Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. I think it's just lack of experience on a move that more experienced drivers would have made work.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Like, he's going for the win, sure, but he did it in such a way that it was very high risk. And I think a more experienced driver would have adjusted on that slightly. I don't know. That's the way I see it. But it's just that's why it's not malicious. It's just he's over aggressive sometimes. He's not yet learned, when to reel it in a little bit. I say he hasn't. He's shown times, like when he raced Larson at Road America. Fantastic job driving, great restraint shown, and he got the win cleanly there. So I know he's capable of it. He's just, because he's young and in a great car, and I think for all the reasons you just said, Jarrett, not a lot to lose. He's racing a guy who he's not going to have to race again this season. I think he just was a little too hot there, just a little too hot. Made a mistake. He's going to get criticized for it because he does a lot, and it's costs other people finishes they deserve. But it's again, I'm not going to hold it over him too much. It's a lot like the Larson Elliott thing. Maybe I'd say it's maybe slightly more egregious than the Larson Elliott thing, because he did take the guy out. They both did wipe out completely. But at the end of the day, it's just consciously making it a slightly over aggressive move and miscalculating a tad. It's just how it works.
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, you go back to the race highlights. I mean, it was the 54, the 17, the 88. They had some nice battles throughout the entire race. For first, second, and third spot. So I mean, he's more than capable of doing that. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I also think he knew. He's like, look, if I nudge him a little bit, I mean, he's not racing for anything in this series, right? You know what I mean? So he probably knew that too. So. But yeah, so it's another learning experience. But as far as the way some of the fan base perceives him, again, it's sort of a similar Chastain situation here too. So any little thing he does is gonna be maximized, So
now,
but yeah, this is pretty. Yeah, it's one of those deals.
I brought this up in the chat. I put a poll out there asking if Ty Gibbs is in the wrong, and I'm actually surprised because I've noticed our chat is definitely a bit more biased on the negative side towards Ty Gibbs. But when I asked if they thought he was at the wrong at the Glen, 53% did say yes, but 47% said he wasn't in the wrong.
Now it's 48% now in real time.
Well, what do they mean by he's not in the wrong? Because he made a mistake and caused the wreck, so he was wrong. He was in the wrong for that.
I think a lot.
Is it just I think they don't mind the aggressive move?
I think that's what it is.
Well, and also,
I just like my aggressive moves to have a better chance of working. That move had a very small chance of working in my opinion.
But also, I think this is now just common in this new era of NASCAR too. It's now the the new excuse is, well, I was going for the win, but then it's even worse if you don't win though. That's the thing. So
exactly.
That's just the new excuse. Hey, I was going for the win, man. Running 27th, wrecking someone. Going for the win.
Well. The beneficiary of all of this was the man who won the Cup race, Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson sweeps the weekend. Actually, 1-2 sweep 1-2 this weekend as Kyle Larson went against AJ Allmendinger. So I'd say that it's pretty funny seeing Kyle Larson kind of on both winning ends of a pretty similar move in both aspects. It's pretty fitting.
Yeah, the funny thing to me, it was after the race. Once Kyle Larson won the Xfinity race, you started seeing some tweets popping up, and the whole debate starts again. Kyle Larson is the greatest driver of all time. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, let's pump the brakes on that. But hey, congrats to him. He swept the weekend at the Glen. But as far as that argument, let's give it 15 to 20 years and see what other accolades he does. All this after winning a freaking Xfinity race. I'm like, come on, he didn't even sweep the weekend yet. I can understand if he swept the weekend. Kyle Larson fans feeling hyped, but I mean, oh man.
And then one last little note here about the Xfinity race is Sammy Smith. He was born in 2004, right? Competing up front for the win. I got to say that was pretty impressive to see. I actually thought after those two made contact and he caught up to AJ and Larson, I thought there was a chance we were going to see Sammy Smith win that race. And what is it, single digit start still at this point?
Yeah,
and I think it's only his third or fourth. You go back to that earlier run where they chose not to pit. He held his own on older tires. I mean, I know it's Joe Gibbs Racing equipment, but for a guy that young on a road course, like Watkins Glen to do that against Cup Series drivers. We're not talking about old Joe Schmoes or has-beens here. We're talking about Kyle Larson and William Byron, driving for Hendrick Motorsports currently. And there were other Cup guys in the field. Chastain, I think Cole Custer race. Yeah, it was a strong Xfinity Series field this weekend, and he proved his own. So, hey, he's popped up on some radars. I've seen him race in person. Actually, Jared, I believe we saw him race at New Smyrna earlier this year in ARCA East, where there was only 2 competitive ARCA cars.
Oh, he's one of the 2?
Yeah, he was in the 18, I believe. So cool. Yeah, he has a ton of experience on these short tracks and stuff. It's good to see him get some, some on-track time in the Xfinity Series, and he's making the most of it. So another young prospect to look out for.
Whew. That was a weekend, man.
Yeah, that was something. For sure.
Well, we have. Let's see what the guys in the chat have been talking about. I'm going to get it ready on my end, but let's go into our first Super Chat stage break, shall we? I'm going to end the poll at 50-50.
Wow, 50-50. Wow, I guess we both made some, some compelling arguments.
Now it says 50-49.
Oh, YouTube messing up.
It's probably 50.6.
Gives us a definite answer of yes, though, just by a little bit.
Tilting yes. Let's see. get these super chats ready.
I got the stopwatch.
We got the timer.
I'm starting it now.
Hold on. I'm gonna make sure.
False start.
I'm impatient.
Disqualified.
It's just a weather delay. All right. I can start up now. Antar Das, thank you for the $4.99 before the show. Can't stay too long because I gotta get up at 4 a.m. for work. Wow. Daytona is gonna be crazy. I just have a feeling about it, and hopefully Spa is not like 2021. That was funny. And then Antar Das also says, "Is it not 2021?" Maybe you got corrected. I don't know. Irvin Alvarado, thank you for the $9.99, says, if McDowell wins a video idea for Iceberg, I think we talked about. Oh wait, never mind. We didn't talk about this one. Is review a Love's Truck gas stop with all amenities and get some gear, and also that 34 is so fast at the Glen. He could have won it if the wet conditions continued.
I agree. He could have. He would have been at least top 3.
Jake Stew in the chat for $1.99 says Kyle Larson. Well, thank you for that. He is on the thumbnail. Isaac, thank you for the $4.99. Fastenal plays the long game. After Darian cursed their 2019 season, Fastenal cursed Darian's Twitter to jinx any driver he tweets about.
Well, that's been happening, though, but not. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was back in 2019. That's right. Yeah.
Jupiter Rain, thank you for the 2. Chase is no longer the best at road courses. Keeps getting beat. I don't know about that. It's not his own doing.
Dude,
he's the most consistently there.
Yeah. And also, I feel like Chase Elliott's floor on road courses at this point is a top 5 road course driver.
He dominated the second half of this race. Let's not get crazy.
He's the best at road courses still.
Let's settle down.
Twisted_nipples82 for 5 says Napa know-how unless it's our drivers not knowing where the race is. Also, we need the NASCAR Weekly Podcast live watch party this Saturday night. Well, I think I don't know if we'll do that, but I know I'll be live after the race if we have the race.
Hey, I have to look that up just in case.
I know. I looked at the weather. Spoiler alert: for the next 10 straight days in Daytona, there's a 60% chance of rain. It's Florida, man.
Bad.
It's just.
I don't know if we'll do a live watch party for this one, but maybe for the championship because we are so close we could work something out.
Yeah. So Eric can fly out here for the championship.
Okay, well, maybe we'll have 3 of the 4. We want to make him come to Tennessee just for that.
Come on out, why not?
The water's fine.
He might even be there probably enough. I don't know.
Newazag says, I think that's how you say your name for 2. Chase is just mad that Kyle's better than him. Dude, we got salt in here.
Dang, bro.
Ross Crash Stain for 2. Chase either taking after Kyle Busch or is vanilla as hell. I don't know. I think he showed some good stuff.
He's not as vanilla as he used to.
Are we at the 3-minute mark now?
No, do you want to be? Why are you getting tired?
No, I'm just I haven't been able
time
to.
for one more. You have 3 seconds to go.
I haven't been able to read as many. I want to read a few more. Nova Stone 12 for 2. Chase helped Larson beat Harvick. None on the flip side. Oh, jeez. This is fun watching. Mafire 924 for 2. Reaction if Chase wrecked Larson for the win. Maybe Phoenix. That'd be interesting.
That'd be interesting.
Turn him at the dog leg.
I'll end on this one just because it is a question that we should probably answer before we get there. Reese Walls leaves a $4.99. Hey guys, any of y'all going to Daytona? I don't think any of us are.
No, IDK player is though. So if you see him, say hello.
But Out of the Groove will be there on the quarter panel of Ryan Vargas's number 6 car, as well as 100 fantastic members of the Groovy Gang who took advantage of this special NASCAR pole position subscription offer. So it basically came with their name on the car, which is pretty cool. So just a cool idea. JD Motorsports was down, pole position was down. So cool to be a part of it. Appreciate everyone who signed up for that.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool deal. And really quick, we just got through our first Super Chat stage break, but we're also brought to you by Lionel. You see, Lionel is the official diecast of NASCAR. You can order your 2022 diecast, your favorite drivers now, at LionelRacing.com or any Lionel authorized retailers. Also, you don't want to miss Lionel Racing's NASCAR Authentics diecasts at a Walmart near you. Guys, I think we have a few Lionel diecasts on the screen. What do we got? Danny, start us off. What one do you got?
So I'm wearing a 2311 Racing shirt. I've got the 23 Columbia car above a wall. This is one of my favorite paint schemes I think he's ever ran. I'm a big fisherman. I wear a lot of Columbia gear when I'm fishing, so I've always liked this paint scheme.
Darian, you've been chomping at the bit to talk about that truck that I watched you buy.
Yes, RIP to DEI. And for those who don't know, they used to have a truck series team back in the day in the early years of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, or as OGs remember, the NASCAR Super Truck Series. Ron Hornaday is definitely, without a doubt, one of the greatest truck series drivers ever. And he got his start with DEI too. And just for further proof, there's the DEI logo right there. But such a detailed truck for the era, and this is the 1996 truck he raced that season. So this is a good find at JP's NASCAR outlet, and be sure to hit up that store before it closes. Some amazing deals taking place there.
Eric, what do you got?
Absolutely. I've got a signed Ty Gibbs Xfinity car from, I guess it's actually from last year, pristine auction colors. They actually sent this to me. We're doing a bunch of giveaways over the next, we already did some giveaways, and then we got a few more coming up in the coming days and weeks. So just want to show this one off. This is pretty cool.
I have a Tony Stewart 2005 Elite diecast. You can tell by the tethers. I think if I can open this up. The tethers. There we go. This was his second championship winning diecast. I have actually the first one in my closet right now. So I have his 02 and his 05. I just need to get the 2011 now. But I managed to get the Elite version that has like all the really fine details with the brackets and the tethers and an actual grill opening. So good stuff here. Good to, really cool find that I got. But I figured I'd show this one off tonight, especially after I showed the Gordon one from last week. So good stuff.
And also really quick, according to the chat, Ron Hornaday won the 1996 Truck Series Championship. In this truck. I didn't know that, so thank you, chat. Appreciate it.
But yes, thank you, chat, and thank you, Lionel, for sponsoring the show. Darian, do you hear that? I have a feeling none of us will hear after you hear it.
I do hear it a little bit, and it's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. See, I'm starting to tame it a little bit more. Jarrett, what do we have on tap for tonight?
Well, we got a few things tonight. Not too awful much, but the stuff we do have is pretty nice to look at. Starting off is that Chase Elliott will be driving Nitro Rallycross on November 12th and 13th at the Phoenix Raceway. Might be right after he wins his second championship. Who knows? Kurt Busch, who sat out Watkins Glen, will also sit out Daytona. I know they announced that before, but just to let people know who are tuning in that might not have seen that, he will be out through Daytona. No answer yet on what his playoffs entail, so we'll have to just pay attention to that through the week. With no signs of the schedule being announced, it's projected now that the schedule will not be announced until after Labor Day in September. At the moment, the only venue change known is the Chicago Street Course, as well as Texas not having the All-Star race. Other than that, a lot of stuff seems to be lining up to be the same as last year. It was actually confirmed through emails they sent out. COTA has a spring date next year.
Good. Don't want to see that track off the schedule. Good.
Kaulig president Chris Rice has said he hopes that the team's 2023 Cup and Xfinity lineups will be announced soon, possibly in the next 2 weeks as of Monday. Also, they are looking to get into other series like the Truck Series, late models, and even IMSA. So, cool stuff there. We talked about all these different drivers that are unnamed that have interest in Project 91. Well, 2 on Twitter showed actual public interest. Marcus Ericsson and Jensen Button have expressed interest in the Project 91 deal, and who knows, maybe they can be in the car next year. I feel like Project 91 is like what the SRX wished it could be. Getting all these good drivers all over the place and having people hyped every time.
But I thought they would love
like that.
I thought they would love the fun flags though.
I think they love the 3 million viewers on TV.
Yeah, I think that's what they liked. Looking at some other stuff here, 2 more deals to look at here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be the executive producer of Race for the Championship on the USA Network, according to Variety. And then Joey Logano and Team Penske have agreed to a contract extension. I believe today it was announced. No, not at all.
Penske's re-signing everybody. They want to lock their guys down.
They didn't say how long. They didn't say how long. They said long term. So
they got a good lineup.
I would say at least maybe like 4 years. That sounds right.
I think it's at least probably 4. I think the last extension he signed was in 17, so it could be another like 5-year deal. You never know.
But did anyone read Logano's comments after re-signing? I think it made me laugh. He had said something along the lines of, "Oh, we live in a world where like people don't want to stay at a certain place or whatever and just put in the work. I want to work hard, blah blah." I don't know. I was just like, okay, I see you, where you're coming from. But
he came across. He values loyalty, or at least that was the word he kept using.
Yeah.
And he feels like Roger Penske and Shell have been loyal to him, so he's.
Hey, they saved his Cup Series career.
They did, and the way I see it, he's looking at what's going on with Kyle Busch. If you lose a sponsor in a contract year, you could be screwed. And I think he wants that stability if he can get it.
He's like, nope, we're not going through that situation. He said, we're gonna lock it up right now. No way.
Well, and the thing that still just throws me off, because he's been around so long, but he's still only 32. Like, his best days are ahead of him as a driver. If this is a 4-year deal, he still probably has 2 more contracts to sign in his career where he'll still be a competitive driver after this.
So that means 4 more years of the Joey Logano song. There we go. The Joey Logano anthem. There you go.
One other note, I feel like for a while there, and it still is the case for a lot of like mid-pack smaller teams, but there was a lot of 1-year deals, it felt like going back even to Keselowski signed that 1-year gap deal with Penske. But now lately, Blaney, multi-year extension, Logano, multi-year extension. I guess Truex probably just signed a 1-year extension, but he is getting older, so I won't rule him in factor him into this. But like the other Hendrick guys have signed multi-year extensions recently. So I just think it's interesting that it's good that teams are committing to top young drivers. That's really what it tells me.
I do think it is kind of funny though. Keselowski signed that 1-year deal, and I just imagine Roger Penske, and I took that personally. Signs his other 2 drivers he had with Keselowski to long-term deals. But yeah, that'll do it for the lightning round tonight.
And once again, that'll conclude another edition of the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And now, back to the show.
We've got a few more stories to get to before we pick our Daytona winner. But first, we have to thank our sponsor, Forney Industries. This week, you actually got the logo right here above my head. But thank you to Forney for sponsoring the show. Forney offers a full line of welding and plasma cutting machines, metalworking accessories, and more. Great for do-it-yourselfers all the way up to professional metalworkers. Forney has everything you need for your next project. So be sure to shop all of Forney's top-of-the-line products online at forneyinc.com. The logo is right here above my head, but the link is down in the description below, or check them out at an authorized Forney dealer near you. But yeah, that's going to do it. What's up next, Jarrett?
The same thing we've talked about the last couple weeks, just different story to the same story. It makes no sense, just like all of this silly season weekly drama.
Oh, here we go. Let's get started.
Let's start off with the one that Darian and I heard while we were riding home from JP's NASCAR on Friday of Eric Almirola unretiring, but then later on saying he wasn't for sure unretiring.
Yeah, what's going on here? So first off, he made a whole video before the season started saying this will be my last season, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, nothing's been confirmed.
I will say this though, I went back and looked at his Daytona 500 video. I was looking through his channel, and it says my last Daytona 500 ? So like he's left the door open a little bit.
I like the idea. I wonder if they went back and edited those recently.
They had to.
Spoiler
alert. No. There were
You
comments.
can edit YouTube video titles.
There were comments from then that
you can. I wish I knew that.
There were comments from when that video came out that were like, wait a minute, you might come back?
Okay. Well, then never mind. I guess it's been there. But I mean, I guess what makes this even more confusing, is that Adam Stern wasn't he the one to say like, hey, like this
is Jim Utter.
No,
Jim Utter. Oh, well, yeah, Jim Utter.
Yeah, that changes everything. No.
Darian for sure is getting towed at the next race.
Some people, I guess they don't have the best opinion.
Yeah,
I think he's a good NASCAR reporter. But.
Watch where you park, Darian. No, yeah, I mean, I think it's happening. I think he's staying with SHR for another year. I mean, jokes aside, I think Jim Utter, Motorsport.com, they have their sources that I consider them to be pretty reputable when it comes to breaking these types of stories. So, maybe he hasn't officially signed the paper, signed on the dotted line, but I think, based on all the rumors we've heard, other podcasts like Door Bumper Clear have been so sure that Eric Almirola is going back to the 10 for weeks now. I think it's happening. I think Smithfield sweetened the deal. They didn't want to lose. Almirola. But more importantly, they didn't want to. SHR, I should say, didn't want to lose all the sponsorship money that comes with him. So I think he'll return. I just think he didn't want to, break the news during a little media bullpen at Watkins Glen. I think he wants to wait until they can, schedule a legitimate big announcement. That's my guess.
My theory that's been running the last couple weeks is that SHR and Almirola were just waiting to see if they could get Kyle Busch or not on the team.
Maybe.
Before they officially signed it. Either way, I think they're probably keeping that Smithfield money at least another year. But with some of the rumors we'll talk about in a bit, it sounds like they couldn't get Kyle Busch, which is crazy to me that Tony Stewart would be in the running for two great generational Kyles and not get either of them. Because remember, he was in the running for Kyle Larson, and Ford, from what it sounds like, sort of pulled the plug on that.
They're like, nope, not happening.
They said, no, that's bad PR. We don't want that.
Ford, until 2 weeks ago was also not winning too many races. And I know that Kevin Harvick has sort of changed that narrative, but man, imagine how many more races they would win with Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
It's just man.
It's tricky.
Yeah, but that, I think we're all leaning towards that being the case, that he's coming back to the 10. Sounds like Custer's coming back to the 41. So SHR should have the same lineup next year, barring a wacky, crazy retirement all of a sudden from Kevin Harvick, which in this silly season will probably be confirmed only to be turned back on. But of course, we have to go into our weekly update on Kyle Busch. And there were some rumors put out there. I believe Adam Stern did talk about this at one point, among other reporters. But there's 4 known teams that are in the running for Kyle Busch as of, I think,
Friday or something.
Yeah, Friday,
maybe
or
Saturday.
It was somewhere around the end of last week.
Yeah.
So it was Richard Childress Racing, which people are theorizing is the 8.
I think it has to be, right? It's not the 3.
unless he really wants to be a troll. Yeah. 2311 with maybe the 45, even though there's been a lot of pushback from them on that. Kaulig with the 16, or initially SHR with the 10.
And I won't rule out the 41. I think that's an outside possibility, but I'd say it's probably 4th place on that list.
So, Danny, I'll start off with you. Of those 4, which one do you think is the most realistic, and which one do you think would you choose if you were Kyle Busch?
Which one would I choose? I would probably, if the 45 is an option, I'd probably choose that one. But I think it's going to be the Kaulig number 16.
I think Kaulig, Matt Kaulig is one of the few owners in this series who could theoretically afford to pay Kyle Busch closer than others to what he wants to get paid, and kind of fund it through his other business. He's had leaf filter on Justin Haley's car for the vast majority of races this year. That's a company he owns or founded. I don't know, probably still owns it, whatever. I could see them on Kyle Busch's 16 car if he goes there. Kaulig to me seems like the front runner, just for that reason alone. There's a lot of things that have to change to get for those other options to work. Like for the 8 to work out, Richard Childress would have to let Tyler Reddick go a year early. And I feel like that's a big if. Like that's a big question mark. He's made noises like he doesn't, while he may want to do that, he's probably not going to do that. So that's a question mark there. And then the 45, if Kurt Busch comes back, which it sounds like Kyle's encouraging him to come back, then the 45 is not an option. And even if Kurt doesn't come back, that might become Reddick's seat. So I feel like the 45 is kind of a long shot, but I'm sure Toyota is desperate to make something happen. Kaulig's the only one that makes sense because, they've said in the past that they're open to putting a full-time driver in that 16 car. I don't know Justin Haley's situation. Maybe it's the 31, but I imagine they'd like to hold on to Justin Haley. He's kind of come up through their system. So it's the only one that makes sense at this point. I'm not going to say it's the only one that makes sense. It makes the most sense because there's the least number of steps involved, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I just because I love looking at the rumor mill. Again, none of this is confirmed. But a lot of people have said that Kyle Busch is pretty much confirmed not to be coming back to JGR, whether it be door bumper clear. I even saw as far as to Kyle Busch's own hauler drivers were going that far. People were talking to them over the weekend. But another rumor I saw, again, not confirmed, but I just want to put it out there because it was being spread around. Twitter, Reddit, in my comments, that Richard Childress and Kyle Busch have been seen going to like a dinner together to, who knows, like a steak dinner.
I've seen. I don't want to speak to it because I've seen so much BS. I've seen those comments. I've gotten those DMs. I've had several people DM me that, hey, my buddy who works at Leaf Filter saw Kyle Busch and Matt Kaulig the other day. Then there's the guy with the video who talked about my dad spoke to the merch hauler driver. Like, I'm sorry, he may end up being right, but I'm not going to take that as any sort of credibility.
It's crazy how much stuff is going out there, and the fact that it hasn't been spoiled by the garage yet. Like, we still genuinely, like, first. We have our tilting and leaning towards where we think he's going to go. But there's no, like, 6 weeks ago, we all thought he was staying at JGR. Then it was SHR. Then it was RCR. Now it's Kaulig. It's like a rotation.
It's changing each and every week, man.
I don't know that it's changing. I think we're narrowing it down. Think about it. We basically eliminated JGR at this point. Sorry about your Hendrick theory, Jarrett, but I do feel like that's growing less and less likely by the week. I think we're slowly crossing these lines out as we go. And eventually... There it is.
Hey, what if we're all wrong? Maybe he's going to WWE to go get his 24/7 championship back.
Yeah, but to Eric's earlier point, I mean, like, I would think Kaulig is the best option right now. Like he said earlier, less hoops to jump through, man. I mean, like, I would love to see him in the 8 for trolling purposes, but then you have to kick out Tyler Reddick and stuff. But the funny thing I just thought about that is, if he does end up driving for Richard Childress Racing, like,
will he hold his watch?
Well, no, that I was just about to say, like, y'all remember that incident back in 2011, right? Where he basically had put him at Childress put Kyle Busch into a headlock, and now all of a sudden there's the option that, hey, they might race for each other too. So that's funny.
It's been 11 years though.
It's still funny though. It's just funny looking back.
It's
where
funny.
They started.
But it's similar to Michael Waltrip and Clint Boyer 2 years after he called him the worst driver ever.
Signing Hamlin and Bubba Wallace.
The Adderall comments.
What is with these some of these owner driver combo like I don't know, just the way some of these relationships started is very interesting. Is what I'm trying to point out. But
Kyle Larson accused Hendrick of cheating a couple years ago.
And fighting for them, right? All these
That's
different
right.
stories. But no, in conclusion, I think Kaulig's they're the number one option right now in terms of competitiveness. I think he could come in and make that team very competitive right away. I wouldn't say to the level of a Trackhouse in their second season, but can definitely take the team a step in the right direction. Definitely the younger drivers like Justin Haley will. Justin Haley, I feel like would definitely benefit from having Kyle Busch as a teammate. That whole team would benefit, man. They would all get better.
Well, I asked the chat what they thought about it in a poll, and I asked, where's Kyle Busch going next year? 65% at the moment say Kaulig. 17% still say Stuart Haas. 2311 is a solid 13%, and 6% have him going to RCR in the 8 car. So, interesting stuff to look at there. Now, one thing, I guess this is like a soft way to get into the Daytona preview. It's not exactly going into the Daytona weekend, but it is. I want to bring this up because there's probably at least 1 or 2 people watching out there who are in these affected areas and need to know about it. Daytona will not be shown on all NBC affiliates this weekend.
Say that again. Which place again? Say that again.
Daytona will not be shown on some NBC affiliates this weekend.
You heard that right.
Better subscribe to Peacock.
There's that, and there are some other options on TV for some areas, but for some, y'all are screwed. You got to just bite the bullet and get the free version of Peacock to watch it, or the $4.99 for a free week, and then just cancel it before you get billed. We're looking out for you.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what we got. So the first game is the Cardinals and Titans. For Phoenix, for our viewers in Phoenix, the NBC affiliate KPNX12 will not have the race. You have to go to the local KTVK for the race. So it will be shown. It will be shown. It will be shown on TV, just not on NBC. It'll be KTVK. I don't know which affiliate that is out there. It might be your local CW channel. That's what a lot of them are being shown on. So for those of you in Phoenix, there's that. Then there's the Eagles and the Dolphins. For this race in Philadelphia, your NBC affiliate will not be showing it. WCAU 10 will not have the race. Unfortunately for you, unless you have Peacock, You won't be able to watch the race until 10 p.m. Eastern time. There's no alternative channel for this. You're just going to have to pick up after football. So unfortunate there. Then you have the Commies versus the Ravens. F. Dan Snyder. The Commanders. I just like calling them the Commies because they're red, yellow, and have com in the name. But for you guys, there's a lot of affected areas, especially in NASCAR country on this one. For Baltimore, your affiliate, WBAL 11, you're not going to have the race on NBC. It's going to be on Me TV. I don't know if you have that channel.
Me TV? What the hell?
Yeah,
I only know Me TV to show like random old movies.
Is that the Me channel, like on the Wii, where you create your? Little
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, is this on the Wii now?
I wish. Then
I feel like there should be its own unique commentary group for that. Hey, welcome to NASCAR on Me TV.
It's just it'll still be the NBC one. But then for Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the NBC affiliate WGAL will not have the race. There's no alternate channel, and they're not joining into this race. So if you're in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, if you don't have Peacock, you won't be able to watch the race this weekend. The race as well in Washington, D.C.'s affiliate, WREC 4, will not be shown, and that means it will not be shown in Washington, D.C. or Northern Virginia. Unfortunately, again, no alternate channel for this one. You'll just have to watch after the NFL is done at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So probably catch about the last 40 to 50 laps of the race. And then the last game to affect NASCAR is the Buccaneers and the Colts. For a lot of you Florida viewers, you're going to have to listen on this one. Tampa Bay's affiliate for NBC, FLA 8, will not show the race. The alternate channel is WMOR. And then Orlando will not be showing the race on their NBC affiliate, WESH2. Instead, you're going to have to watch on the local CW. If you're not in any of those areas, you will not be affected. You will be able to watch the race. But for those areas, find the alternative now to watch the race instead of on Saturday night and missing some of it. Other than that, you are good.
If you're in Tampa or Orlando, go buy a ticket. I don't know. It's just a short drive across the state.
Hey, by the way, I looked up Me TV while you were saying all that, and it basically says it is called the Memorable Entertainment Television Network. So it's a classic TV station.
It's what you said, Danny. Classic movies.
Just old movies.
They'll just be showing Days of Thunder on there instead of the race.
So yeah, no. I think and when we're talking classic, I think like 1950s type stuff or whatever. So
They just have an old race on.
yeah,
They have like
that would be a good lead-in. There you go. Show an old Southern 500 or something.
It'd be better than
Daytona
the Fox pre-race show.
Damn, we're still taking shots at Fox.
No, honestly, I was gonna rant about this earlier. I'm gonna refrain. USA/NBC makes Fox look like a joke every single week.
Oh
with
yeah,
their,
we
their
know.
coverage.
We know.
I just, it needs to be said more because Fox needs to be shamed into an overhaul.
Don't worry.
They need to.
We're doing a good job with that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But that covers that. If you didn't hear it, you can rewind it back on the stream or on Spotify if you guys are listening. But just wanted to let people know, just so that you guys are good to go with that. I don't want anyone not watching the race if you can. But let's get into it. Daytona's this weekend, guys. And we got 2 races this weekend. And there's good in the fact that we'll be at Daytona, and there's bad in the fact of Daytona weather. So let's get into it. The Xfinity race is the Wawa 250 presented by Coca-Cola. It's 100 laps. Starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's on USA and MRN. The weather is 90 degrees as a high. Afternoon and evening, I looked up a little earlier, thunderstorms, 58% chance of those on Saturday night. Defending winner is Justin Haley. As for the Cup race, the Coke Zero Sugar 400 is 160 laps starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC and MRN. And I put the entire week's worth of weather because I just need to let everybody know this. Saturday night, 87 degrees, thunderstorms, 80% chance of rain. Sunday, 88, thunderstorms, 77% chance. I'm not even going to give you the temperature. I'll just give you the percent chance of thunderstorms throughout the week. Monday, 80%. Tuesday, 61%. Wednesday, 65%. Thursday, 69%. But they get faster. Nice. The defending winner of this race is Ryan Blaney.
I have a feeling they should just aim for the idea of finishing this race at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll stay up. I'll stream after. I don't care if it's like 2 in the morning. Let's go, baby.
Hi, this is Jared. It's 3 a.m. I have 3 people watching because everyone's asleep.
Oh boy, 3 a.m.
I'll buy a burger just so if it's 3 a.m. I can eat it on stream like that. But rain or shine, we still got the betting odds for this one. Darian, who are the favorites, the best after that, and underdogs for this week?
Yes, and some of these betting odds are going to make you laugh, by the way. So as for the favorites, Chase Elliott is the favorite for this weekend at plus 1,000. Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and Bubba Wallace are all tied for second at plus 1,200. And finally, Ross Chastain is plus 1,300. As for the best of the rest, and get ready to laugh, Kyle Larson is a plus 1,300 for some reason. Oh man, if only they knew his track record on super speedways.
I mean, to be fair, plus 1,300 still isn't the greatest odds, but
He almost won Talladega.
Yeah,
Like,
true. So maybe he's improving a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how he performs this weekend. But also tied at plus 1,300 as well is Joey Logano and William Byron, and tied for plus 1,500 is Kyle Busch and Austin Cindric. As for the underdogs, Eric Almirola plus 3,000, Justin Haley plus 5,000. Cole Custer plus 7,500, Corey LaJoie plus 10,000, and Todd Gilliland plus 15,000.
I know where my bets are at.
Exactly. Now, as for the NASCAR Weekly Podcast Fantasy League, the regular season standings are about to wrap up, and then basically what's going to happen is the the full season standings will continue, and then another portion of points will open up. It'll be the playoffs one once the playoffs start. But Trevor Sports 98, he's cruising away with the lead so far. I mean, he's in first place solidly. Second place is Toyota Tough. Third place, 48 Nation. Fourth place, Jets 48. And rounding out the top 5 is Recce Spinhouse. I mean, basically all season, I've been like repeating these guys' names over and over and over again inside the top 5. They've been so consistent. And thanks for playing, y'all.
And then as for the pick points, we've gotten everyone closer this week. It was a very good week for everybody that wasn't Eric. Eric, you're still leading at 440.
What's
Good job.
the point?
The chat is -9. They're only 9 points behind you in second.
I'm getting close.
And then we have a small gap back to Danny, who has jumped into the top 3 at -73.
the top 3.
A small gap.
Small gap. Then we have Darian in 4th, -74. And I am -77. So I made up a bunch of points, but I'm still in last. But I'm close.
Hey,
we have close.
That
we have a
podium finish for third is
Yeah.
gonna be tight.
I was
Woo.
about to say we have a pretty awesome battle for all around and stuff. So there's a lot to definitely play for sure.
Mm-hmm.
This is fun. I love it.
And we only have 2 races to pick for this week, Xfinity and Cup. So Eric, as the points leader, lead us off. Who's gonna win the Xfinity race this Friday?
This is hard because part of me wants to pick a JRM car, but like, no, you can't go against Kaulig. But then I look at who Kaulig has, and I'm sorry, like I'm not feeling Daniel Hemrick this year. I'm not feeling Landon Castle. AJ Allmendinger will probably be there, but he's usually, I feel like, the guy pushing. And Justin Haley's on a part-time car. Like, I'm gonna go with Justin Haley. He won this race last year by this much. He's in the 14. I'm going to go with Justin Haley.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
All right, Danny, your turn.
Austin Hill.
Haven't you picked him like the last couple super speedways and it's worked?
And has he won like almost all of them?
He's
worked.
really good. Yeah, he's really good, man. He's good there. I'm going to go with Noah Gragson.
I am also going to go with Justin Haley. You got to pick what works, and Justin Haley seems to work at Daytona.
4 super speedway wins and a cup win. I know, albeit kind of wacky
It's
circumstance.
still a win.
He's like, it's that victory lane is like a magnet to him. He just, he's just there.
So it went at first, it was all Justin Haley, but I'm seeing 16s.
You cowards.
I'm seeing a few 21, but not that many.
Yeah, it's mostly 16.
I think it's the dinger.
Yeah, give
He's
him
got
the dinger.
He's got the plurality. So AJ Allmendinger is the chat's pick. And while the chat is putting in their picks, at this point they can start putting in their picks for who's gonna suck this week in Cup.
Oh yeah, I go first. I'm gonna go Ty Gibbs. My bad. I was looking because I know there's a few wackos on the entry list here. Like you got David Reagan's in the 15. I just thought that was worth mentioning. And Daniel Hemrick's in the 16. I needed to double check, make sure Gregson was in the 16. But no, my who's going to suck, I'm going to go Ty Gibbs.
I'm going to go with Todd Gillen for this one.
I'll go with a Stewart-Haas racing car, and part of the reasons I'm picking this because IDK will be there. Eric Almirola.
Oh, I should have picked him for mine, but I'm going to go with Daniel Suarez. And then looking at the chat at the moment, I'm seeing it's not a consensus, but there's no points for this one. But I mean, there's a lot of fives.
I'll give him Larson. They're probably picking to win.
Just give him Larson. They're not going to pick him to win.
Yeah, we'll give him Larson. So who's the dark horse for this week?
Christopher Buescher. Won his dual race. Hot right now. Buescher.
All right. I agree as well. Yeah, Chris
You're not
Buescher.
next.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, I'm so used to it.
Danny's ahead of you.
You have lost your third spot.
I'm so
my friend.
used to it. Go ahead.
I'm actually going to say Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is a good pick for an underdog in this one.
Yeah. Chris Buescher, I already said.
Well, I'm going to stick with the theme of sevens here. But it's not 17 and it's not 47. It's 7. Corey LaJoie, this time he is going to win me thousands of dollars when I bet on him. Allegedly. Technically I'm not. I did not take McDowell Supremacy as my underdog this week. I picked Corey LaJoie. And looking at the chat.
I can't believe you're doing this, Jarrett. I cannot believe this.
The chat, I'm seeing a lot of it's 7, 17, and 47. It doesn't need a poll. I feel like we can just pick one of them out of a hat here.
Give him McDowell.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing McDowell. Yeah.
McDowell Supremacy lives on. Okay. And now we are at that part of the show where we pick who's gonna win. Who's gonna win the regular season finale at Daytona.
This is one of those where I wish the chat picked first. I really do. I'm at a tactical disadvantage. I mean, I'm always at a disadvantage because we always let the chat go last. But I'm gonna go with a Penske guy, not the one everyone's probably thinking. I don't think we're gonna get a new winner this week. I'm just saying that. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Joey Logano. I think he wins.
I'm wearing all this stuff for a reason. I brought the car. I'm saying Bubba Wallace is going to win this weekend.
Okay, so looking at the last Daytona races, I mean, obviously, the 500 is different from, the regular season finale, of course. But, Keselowski, Fenway, what's the name exactly? RFK.
Just
okay,
say
okay.
that. That's easy.
Okay, just RFK. Okay. Ruvka. There you go. No, but
You
RFK
pronounced it wrong.
RFK, basically, they've been running well on these super speedways, and especially during, the earlier season Daytona duels, they ended up sweeping them. So I'm gonna say, he gets, some type of, season redemption this weekend. Brad Keselowski is gonna turn it around and score his first win of the season.
God, we've gone nuts. Jarrett, please save us from this madness.
I am, and I don't know why anyone hasn't picked this guy. This guy has been great all season. It's been one of his best. It's been his best regular season ever. I am going with Chase Elliott.
Man, I mean, he's the favorite.
He's the favorite. He's been the fastest guy at the super speedways this year on average.
Yes.
He's led tons of laps in pretty much every race. Chase Elliott is the favorite to win this week, and I'm going to pick him. He was up front the last 2 years.
He was up front at Atlanta when he, with LaJoie. I guess, yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
It's a bold strategy just to get passed by Michael McDowell in the final turn.
I would be A-okay with that.
I'm just disappointed. I thought you were picking McDowell to win, so
No.
I'm a little shocked that you're picking a legitimate.
I was just trying to play that up all show for the punchline of not picking him just to see your face right now.
He's been working on this
livid.
for months, guys. He's had this planned.
Yeah.
Furious. I don't know who the chat's picking. I see a lot of Eric Jones. Give him Jones.
Well, there's a lot of 23s too. Should we do 23 versus 43 as a poll?
Yeah.
There's also a lot of 12s. There are a lot of 12s as well.
So 23, 43, and 12. We'll put that as the poll.
Yeah.
Because, those are the top 3 I've seen so far.
So right now, so half of us picked guys who would blow up the playoff grid. Bubba and Keselowski would blow up the playoff grid. Jarrett, I know you're picking Elliott, but who do you think below 15th has the best chance at winning and getting that last spot?
Eric Jones.
Really?
Eric Jones or Ryan Blaney, because Blaney has led every single super speedway race this year, and he is, I believe, one of, if not the only person to do that. If you include Atlanta.
I feel like Blaney's the safe pick. If I wanted to get wacky, I'd probably go Bubba, though. I think Bubba's probably the best bet behind him. I like the RFK cars a lot. I like Buescher and I like Keselowski, but I don't know.
You know what's funny is, of the three that are the top three, of Blaney, Bubba, Jones, those were the three in my video this week that I said were the three you should pick this week to win.
They watched. There you go.
So I'm glad they watched. It was funny. My dad told me, because he won I think he won like $100 last year on DraftKings, because he just put people in from my below the cut line video. He's like, yeah, put another one of those out this year. I'll make like $100 again.
This poll is pretty close.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that is close. Man,
place your bets now, chat. Let your voice be heard.
Yeah, so might as well get to super chats and let this poll simmer. But
yeah, let's get to our final super chat stage break of the night. I'm gonna refresh. We don't need a time. I just remembered. So I believe Tinsley is my next one. By the way, we'll talk about it at the end of the show, as you know, in the last bit after picks are done and everything in super chats. But we had an awesome race last night, and Tinsley brought it up on here in his super chat. Thank you, Tinsley, for the 10. Says, I finished P12 in the NWP 400. Just want to thank the podcast for sponsoring. I also had the opportunity to make the driver intro video for the stream and make a paint scheme for Darian and Vargas. Those schemes were awesome, and that intro was amazing. They even used slideways on the broadcast and didn't get copyrighted for it.
They snuck it through there, so GG.
Cameron Dufty, thank you for the 5. If you add the points back, 34 is 19 and 43 is 16 in regular season points. What teams, if they improve, could have a similar fringe playoff drive next year?
I'm gonna say Kaulig, especially if they get Kyle Busch, but I'd say Justin Haley could be a threat to crack the top 20. He's been like 22nd, 23rd, I feel like, all year.
If Bubba ran like he did over the summer, he could. But he's got to put a full season together. Marky Mark, thank you for the 2. Should they get rid of the win and you're in? I've said it all season that I like the Winston points format, but if not, leave it as is. Levi, thank you for the 2. Frankie Muniz, 2030 Cup champion. Jeez. Napa Racing Fan 927, thank you for the 2. Hashtag not too many road courses. Hashtag noon. Hashtag no rain at Daytona. I hope at least
only hashtags had power.
Yeah. M Martin Fan for life. Thank you for the 10. No more winning you're in. Just give an extra 10 points for it. Top 16 go to the playoffs. Also keep the stages, but no stage cautions. I feel like everyone's just giving their idea for what they do. Levi Jones, the 27 is running for 63rd place. That was a door bumper clear reference. Gavin, thank you for the 5. I'm going to Talladega this year for my 21st birthday. What are some things to do at the track? Drink alcohol, that's one. You're 21, you can. Don't record stuff. It'll get taken off YouTube. And not for anything that people at the track would do, just because it's Talladega. Watch good racing. And maybe keep a lookout. Maybe some of us will be there. Napa Racing Fan 927, thank you for the 2. William Byron has one top 10 in the last 20 NASCAR starts. I think that includes Xfinity.
Oh my gosh.
Bake the Snake, thank you for the 5. I haven't done this in a while, but can we get a Leroy Jenkins in the chat?
Leroy Jenkins.
He said Leroy in the chat. Jenkins.
In the chat. Cam Jester, thank you for the 569. Nice. Just wanted to share the love. Enjoy the show. I'll be one of the 3 who listen on Spotify tomorrow morning at work. Actually, no, we have a very nice listening base on Spotify. There's like about 1,000.
Oh.
No, I mean thank you to everyone right now. This goes out to the people listening right now on Spotify. Thank you for your support. It's been amazing how much the podcast has grown on streaming or on podcast streaming platforms.
Yep.
Napa Racing Fan 927 with another 2. Darian, I loved your video on ARCA. It's 100% true. I just want to say that was a super chat saying that, not me. No one in ARCA come at me.
Thank you.
Melon Smasher 1, thank you for the $4.99. Eric, when are you getting Jarrett not only his podcast perfect attendance plaque, but also his plaque for not missing a cup race?
Oh, yeah.
I brought this up on Sunday.
Lots of plaques. It'll get to you at some point. I guess I could put it in the mail. It's still sitting right over here. I don't want to show it on camera.
We did the math because everyone was curious of how many cup races in a row, points and non-point races I've watched, and we added it up. If you include the last race at Watkins Glen, it's up to 705 races in a row. Look at this. I love your guys' reactions. They're all like so unique and different.
Oh my god.
Wow. Impressive. Does
Yeah.
that include all the iRacing Pro Invitational racing?
No, we didn't include that one.
Did you miss any of those?
That was a weird era.
You didn't miss any of that? My goodness.
The only I guess I did miss the ones that were on Wednesday nights at the same time as the show, but at that point no one cared. So do we really count them?
I barely remember them.
all the chat told me the other night is that I needed to prove on Sundays that I actually touch grass. So
grass is overrated. There's a lot of bugs in grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here down south, sometimes the bugs come to you.
Oh yeah, I got a story to tell you. I guess I told this to Darian last night or earlier this week. I got a story to tell you guys after the show about just the experience. Tyler Dotson, thank you for the 5. Why do people want Dodge to come back? They'll just leave again in 10 years. Maybe it'll be different this time.
This man has trust issues.
They're putting all their focus in on electric cars, so I mean, hey,
electric series entry.
NASCAR's catering itself with that to Dodge coming back. That's why they'll come back. They'll come back until they lose the advantage. Zachary Dale Jr. fan, thank you for the 2. The summer the fan base turned on Bowman 2022. I don't feel like they turned on him.
I feel like
no,
I have a hot take.
No,
go ahead, Danny.
They've turned on a little bit. I've seen so many people saying, "Oh, they should get rid of him, and put Kyle Busch in that car."
So here's my hot take. I think for the longest time, I saw on Twitter quite frequently Bowman fans acting like nobody likes Alex Bowman, like everybody hates him. And I was like, I don't feel like anyone really dislikes Alex Bowman. And now over the past few months, I feel like I now see people on Twitter intentionally egging those fans on by going out of their way to trash Bowman and some of his, not so great stats recently. And I just think it's finally caught up. I'm like, okay, yeah, now Bowman's getting a lot of hate. And it's kind of funny. Some of it just feels like trolling.
We even had someone in our chat, I've noticed him a few times, he'll specifically say something about Bowman just because he knows that I'm going to see it.
Yeah, it's just trolling. They're one of the easiest fan bases to troll.
They're like the most low key, like the Elliott fans and Larson fans
like,
and a few other Kyle Busch fans.
Bubba fans.
Like Bowman fans will just send out a very stern tweet and be like, Bowman. Yeah.
The thing is, like, it's not like he's not a driver who's necessarily hurting anyone. He's not necessarily making people mad.
God, like, did you guys see that new video game, the NASCAR Rivals game? They would release like the cover art, and even there, everyone's like, "Oh, I get why Chastain's on it. I get why Hamlin's on." Why is Alex Bowman there? Everyone's like, and I'm like, man, they really just could not. They all went out of their way to trash Bowman now for every chance he gets.
I think they put him there next to Kyle Busch for that thing earlier this season. I think that's what that was.
I think, well, there's a trailer, I don't know if they released it, but I saw a trailer that they did where they had like Hamlin and Bowman like kind of facing off, doing like burnouts against each other. And then they had Busch and Logano doing like a thing. And I don't remember who there's another set of drivers, but they were trying to line it up based on drivers who've had like actual altercations last year or so. So I think it was supposed to be Bowman and Hamlin.
Yeah. But Ross Chastain in the middle is very fitting.
I'm trying to look at the cover because I had a funny thing to say about it. I won't be able to put it on screen, but I'm trying to look. There's the cover. Okay, so where'd it go? God, these search engines suck. I'll have to zoom in, but it's like they had Bowman looking sort of the same direction as like Logano and Hamlin were looking, And it's like those guys are mad at each other. And then someone's like, and then they have Chastain looking straight at the camera because he knows everyone's mad at him. And then Kyle Busch is looking straight at the camera because he's just mad at everybody. And it was kind of funny. It was like, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
But we got off on a tangent there. Let's see. I'm going to go back here. Mafire 924, thank you for the 2. If Chase doesn't like racing teammates, imagine with Kyle Busch. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but Jacob NASCAR, thank you for the 2. Got my Bristol tickets today. Y'all's favorite
Nice.
what's y'all's favorite
fun.
road trip? Is this question?
Road trip.
Favorite road trip. Wait,
There's been so many.
We talk about a NASCAR road trip or just road trip?
Let's just do NASCAR trip together.
There's been so many. Man.
I mean,
I went on a trip last summer where I visited, I don't remember the exact order now. I visited you guys in Nashville, went to the Ally 400, the opening first race at the Super Speedway. I then drove to Charlotte, visited the Hall of Fame, checked out the RCR Museum, a couple of things, and I ended up at Disney World. But that's besides that part, there was a few NASCAR stops in there. That was really cool. And it's a pretty drive through the mountains.
You came back up to Wisconsin like right after that for Road America.
Right. So I drove from Houston to Nashville to Charlotte to Florida, back to Houston, and then the very next day took a plane to Chicago, drove to Wisconsin. That was a hell of 3 weeks.
Well, what about you,
Good
Danny?
times.
Danny, what was your favorite one?
Oddly enough, I love, it's probably a toss between two. So I love our very first time we ever went to a race with each other, 2019 Bristol night race, getting to meet you guys for the first time. But then also one of the more unique road trips was me and Claudia picking up Jake Baskinger and Joey Stone and driving down to Daytona, which was one of the more unique road trips. It was like, wow, look at this combination here. This is a crew you wouldn't expect to see often, driving that far with each other.
I like that.
Probably my favorite road trip is the one, was the first one this year to Daytona, because I went a week early to see Jarrett run in the marathon, and now we're training for a marathon, so that's cool. And then we basically stayed in Florida for the whole week and stuff, and that was quite the experience. And then I had a freaking 14-hour drive back home.
Should I tell the story of when you, me, IDK, and Emperor in the car together?
Yeah, sure. All right.
So on Tuesday night, we had went out to the Arca East race at New Smyrna, and we were driving back like 3 o'clock in the morning. My tail light was out. And of course, I'm driving out in the middle of nowhere in Florida. I get pulled over by a police officer. Stops me. My girlfriend is asleep in the passenger seat. So the police officer walks up to me, waking her up. Not a good look. I'm so nervous, I can't find my license or anything, and I'm shuffling all around, and I'm like, and he just sort of looks at me, and he just gives me this look. I'm like, this is not a good look for me as an officer. He's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, crap. And I find everything, lets me off with a warning, and he's like, drive carefully tonight, get it fixed when you're back up. You're in the system. I'm like, cool. His backup cop came, everything, but I got.
He called backup?
He called backup on me. Yes,
He said,
that's
I got it, man.
important.
He has a woman, I think, drugged in his car. We're gonna need
That's
all hands
that's what
on
we
deck.
thought. That's what we were theorizing.
sounds-
That's why they took so long. And because I heard them, one of them was like, "Should we just take him in or just let him go?" And I'm just like, and I'm in the press.
They should have booked you.
I'm in the driver's seat, and I'm like, and so fast forward to Thursday night, we go to the duels, and in this car, IDK player's driving. I'm in the passenger seat, and then Darian and Empleman are in the back. And we're going back to the same area. And I'm like, hey, IDK, slow down through here. Because that dude is driving like a bat out of hell through there. And I'm like, slow down through here. There's cops that wait through here. Just slow down. You don't want to mess with these officers. We go through. He still goes fast through the roundabout. And I'm like, dude, one right there. And he slows down. He goes, and he's just goes to the speed limit from there. Because he goes really quick from 50 to 25. Really quick. And he goes, guys, I think we're good. And then as soon as it happens, the lights flash in this rear view mirror, and you hear whoop whoop, pull over, and Darian just goes and points at him.
It's just a typical
right here, officer, right here.
Well, it gets better. We pull off the road, and
Into a ditch.
And IDK's like, I don't know, what should happen? I'm like, dude, just shut up. That's what should happen. Shut up. Yeah. This officer comes up. I look over and immediately just look forward. And he goes, "Do you have your license and registration?" He goes, "Yeah, it's in the dash, Jarrett, get it." And I'm like, I grab it and give it to him. Guy goes back to his car, comes back like 5 minutes later, and he goes, "You need to drive better through here." And then he looks at me. You know the area. You should have known better and told him. Walks away. IDK's happy he didn't get a ticket. He pulls off, and like 5 minutes down the road, Emp is in the back seat behind me. He goes, "Jarrett, what did he mean by you know the area?" And I'm just like, yeah, that was the backup cop from Tuesday night. I get made fun of, even though I literally warned him he was right there. I get made the butt of the joke for the rest of the weekend. But it was a good story. And that was probably one of my favorite trips. I'd say of my favorite. It was a good story.
It was fun.
I didn't
No,
get
it's
a
the
ticket.
funniest. It was just the best. Good times.
Good times. Good times. But I figured people at home would find that one pretty funny. But let's finish up on these super chats. Looks like Blaney is the chat pick, so we're gonna end that one off. The chat's going nuts about it. I'm like looking through, and everyone's laughing their ass off on this one. But that was there's a lot of stories from those trips that one day we can probably all tell.
We can honestly write a book and just have a bunch of stories. Honestly, we'll see if it sells.
Well,
just title NWP's Wild Wacky Adventure in Daytona.
Well, so my two favorites would probably be that first Bristol trip, and then I will say 2021 at Daytona was wild at that house. That was probably one of the wildest trips.
Does everybody know who all was staying? There was about 7 or 8 pretty like
let's see,
notable people in this one house. It was the closest thing to like a clout house, a content house we've ever produced.
I think it was.
So it was the 4 of us, or I guess Danny was not there.
No,
it
I was
was
not there.
3,
Garrett, me, and Darian.
Sloppy and his girlfriend, Jake.
All it was missing was Emp Lemon. He's the only guy out of the equation because we had David Land.
He
we
was
had
at the
Urinating
race.
Street. Yeah, that's true. Emp Lemon was at the race.
He
He
was
just
at the race
wasn't at
with
the
us.
house.
Slap was there.
Slap was at the
Yeah.
race. Was he at the? He wasn't at the house. He was at the race.
Cody
he
H.
was
5
house.
points vids.
No, Cody wasn't at the house.
I'm thinking of something
No.
else. Never mind.
But yeah, 5 points. Trees.
IDK player.
Yeah, Slap was there. I remember Slap was
Snored loud. I don't know if it was him. It was somebody in that room.
there. It was either him or Tree, but that was a wild trip, and that's the trip that and I'm not going to give any more context other than this. That's the trip that I slept in a covered pantry. I slept in the pantry.
He slept on linoleum
did.
floor.
I
with
had
his,
an air
he used a
mattress.
fire extinguisher. Yeah, that went deflated halfway through the night.
That's
You had
right.
a fire extinguisher as a pillow.
Yeah. We basically turned that house into like a little frat house for like 3 days.
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, it wasn't that bad, but
There wasn't any hazing or nothing.
I just
going
remember
on.
talking about Matt Schaub for like about 5 minutes.
That's right. That's
Matt
right.
Schaub, one of the greatest. Is he the greatest quarterback in Houston Texans history? Matt Schaub.
We don't talk about number 4, so I guess yeah. He would be.
I'm gonna update these super chats and finish them.
Yeah,
up
go
here.
for it. Yeah, we can wrap this up.
But good question, Jacob NASCAR. Hero Hope 5 for 2. Is Chase the best this year still? He has 0 wins recently. Yeah, he's still the best.
Yeah,
What,
yeah,
last
he just
4
won
weeks?
the championship. Yeah, the regular season championship.
The Slow Pontiac says for 10, since Dodge is killing their Hellcat Charger and Challenger, would that lessen their chances of them joining NASCAR? I think we covered that earlier, that we think that maybe the electric series they could jump in. Andrew Mayer 5 says NASCAR thrives at fast road courses with several heavy braking passing zones. If NASCAR wants 5 or 6 road courses, they should try and fit that mold. I agree. I'd agree on that one. I'm going to refresh this page just to make sure I get the ones that rolled through recently. There's a good amount. Good Lord. Josh Bob for 5. Hope there is no delay for those traveling. Just an hour south, NASA is launching the Artemis 1 rocket Monday morning. Hotel rebooking chaos. That is pretty cool. They launched a rocket when we were down there in February. Ross Crash Stain set for 5 says, I saw your Daytona vid before, Jarrett. What about the spring Talladega race move for the 4th of July weekend? Ain't nothing more American than that. I mean, Talladega used to have a summer race, and it was just so hot that I don't think it worked out. But if they wanted to have a super speedway race that weekend, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Oh Baby for 10, With Dodge ending the production of the Charger and Challenger, what car company would you guys see joining NASCAR? I think it still could be them with the hybrids coming possibly.
Yeah.
PTM Billy, thank you for the 5. Long 9.5-hour car drive tomorrow to Florida. Hoping for chaos in Daytona. McDowell supremacy. Yes, sir.
Good song.
It's becoming a movement. Speedway anywhere for 10. And Bladder is great every time. Okay. That's something.
That's it.
I wasn't going to read all of that, and then I realized I shouldn't have read any of it. Napa Racing Fan, 927 for the 2. Bristol should be fun this weekend. Yes, it should.
Yes.
Melon Smasher 1, thank you for the 499. With everyone, what is everyone in the podcast Star Wars character? Favorite one? Ahsoka, probably.
What's the little dude who goes, hey?
Oh, that's a Disney one. I wouldn't know.
What was the name of the golden robot again? What's his name
C-3PO.
again?
C-3PO.
Oh, okay, there you go.
What about you, Danny?
I kind of like Han Solo. His character is always pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, no, my actual answer is Chewbacca. That's my actual
Can you
answer.
do the Chewbacca voice?
That's
close enough.
All you gotta do is
I need a
scream-
sip of water.
You just have to scream and gargle at the same time.
Yeah, I'd say for me it's either a toss-up between Ahsoka or Starkiller. SMNG5, thank you for the 199. That's all he left. Melon Smasher 1, thank you for the 2. Can we get NWP story time every week? Let's make it once every now and then. We have a little more time tonight to go through.
We'll
story
run out
time.
of stories pretty quick.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I seem to have a story every race trip I go on, and I went on a lot in the last year and a half. So we might have a good amount. But yeah, maybe that's something we do periodically every once in a while. GN NASCAR fan GN NASCAR fan 24. My bad. Thank you for the 2. Tell more stories in BS streams. It's been months. It's been years, and BS streams have kind of been retired. We'll tell stories at different points. Sly's Supersonic. Thank you for the 1101. Nice. Is that because that's my birthday? What's up, my Fantastic Four? Been a while since I've watched. Glad to see you all. Ready to see the dramatic conclusion to the 2022 regular season. Go KFB.
No.
I'm ready.
See where he stands.
And I'll do one last check over, make sure I get all of them in. I don't want to miss anybody. 2 more here, and then we can end off the night. Blue Jimmy, 48 fan. Thank you for the 2. Here's another funny story. My NWP 400 night. Oh my God. We'll talk about that in a little bit in a minute. And then Trevor Bailey, thank you for the 5. I remember 2019's Bristol night race. I was there and I met the NWP crew, the NASCAR YouTube crew, and still have the photo. That's right. I remember that. Heading to Darlington next week. We'll have fun.
Yeah, have fun, man.
Awesome stuff.
And I think that covers the super chats for the night. But yeah, really quick before we head out, really want to thank IDK Player, wherever he is in the boonies of Florida, for putting on the NWP 400 last night. We had a great event. We, I believe, peaked at over 1,200 viewers.
1219 to be exact.
We beat last year's record as well. Thank you, by the way, Bruce Morgan, for the 499. Thank you. Great show. Thank you.
No, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, I just want to, for everyone who competed, who was a part of that, just they did a phenomenal job with that show last night. And if you haven't watched it already, I'll add it into the description after the show and probably pin comment with the logo or with the link in it. So I'll just write that down right now to remind myself. But yeah, thank you to IDK Player, Tinsley, all the drivers, everyone who came out to support. It was really fun, and we can't wait for year 3 of it. But yeah, I think my voice is starting to sound like IDK's was at the end of last night. So I'll end out on this. Next week is the final podcast of August. August 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Darian's channel, Black Flags Matter. We're going to go over all the events of Daytona, preview the Southern 500. Maybe we might even have something on the Kyle Busch stories. Who knows? Maybe something will be confirmed by then. I have a feeling we're going to have a very packed show for that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching each and every week. It means the world to all of us. Eric, do you got a Dale call to sign us off?
I do. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you in 7 days.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Cut out again. Go bigger. Goodbye.
Might we even still do
Green, green.
Holy moly.
Great job! Yeah! This guy. Thank you! Wow! Hell yeah. Woo-hoo! Great job, man!
And we got a crash. Car spinning left and right.
Buddy, let her rip. Rain like hell, baby! Come on! Oh my god, guys! Yes! Yes! Unbelievable! You guys are the best! Yes, 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 yes!